Family, family, family. Let's start this thing off right, family. All right, get the energy going.
Do it.
Man, oh man, oh man. This brother that I'm about to bring on the stage, the show's a little later than what my shows usually are, but it's an important one nonetheless. And if you are serious about bettering your life, your health, your state of being, your state of mind, I know you're happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. This brother is a gem. I don't want to say a gem to our community. He's a gem to the world, and he's important to the entire world, to the entire globe. I'm glad I just had a brief talk with the brother. Being from my position and being from his position, we sit in two different positions in the realm, and our purpose is in two different positions, so we could give each other. He has given me outside looking in perspective about me, and I was thankful just to give him an outside looking in perspective about him. But I want to welcome to the platform none other than Doctah. Oh shit! Did I write Doctah in it? Did I write Doctah? I wrote Doctah. Okay, I had to make sure I wrote Doctah. Doctah Yahki Awaken.
Appreciate it, man. Glad to be back, man. I appreciate you, brother. How you been, man? You been good?
Yeah. We've been having a good time on the channel this year. We've been having a great time. We've been vibing high. Everything's been great, and it's great to have you. I couldn't end the year without having you back on the play. I know you're super busy. You got so much going on.
But I always have time for you, Rich.
Yo, did Nabi tell you I want to come to your facility and do some filming?
Yeah, as soon as he told me, I said, tell him when he coming. We'll get the tickets when you coming. You know what I'm saying? You welcome here anytime.
September.
We'll do it. We got Chicago in September, and we got me and 19 Keys got a couple of dates too. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you my schedule. Anytime we got free in September, man, just come on with it and we'll make it happen.
Got you. All right, yeah. Also, shout out to 19 Keys, another brother doing it big in the community.
My brother.
Indeed, you gonna be at Invest Fest this year?
Yep. I'm gonna be at Invest Fest this year. We're gonna be on stage again. Powerful presentation, powerful talk like we do every year. So I can't wait for that either. So yeah, we'll be in Atlanta as well.
Yeah, I haven't made it to Invest Fest yet, but this year I will definitely be there. So I can't wait to see you there, my brother.
Yeah, me too, man. We're gonna have a good time.
Can't wait. Listen, with all that, the people starting to fill up the room. Like I said, we starting a little later than we usually do. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Yahki, let's get this thing going. Let's get this thing going, Yahki. And we're just gonna. I'm gonna go. I like to go with the flow. I'm kind of a flow kind of guy, Yahki. So let's say, Yahki, check this out. I may have a whole script, right? And let's say I just get like a download, and I like, it's how I make music. I like to go with the flow. It's like my intellect brings me to where I gotta get, but my soul and my wisdom and spirit actually takes me there. So it's a beautiful thing when you tapped in. But Yahki, let's start with talking about your garden. I want to know, there's something that's there's things that become popularized on the internet, and I like to run those things by you to get your opinion. And do you utilize and what you think about those things that have been popularized? One of the things, I know you got a garden, and I follow you on Instagram. You got it looks absolutely beautiful. And I want to know, what do you think about electroculture and the use of copper in your plants and in your garden? Do you utilize that in your garden? Because I didn't see it, so I'm like, does Yahki do that?
So yeah, I do utilize it. I'm very, very familiar with electroculture from that perspective, and it does work. I think people think just because you don't see the copper rods sticking far from up out of the soil that you're not into electroculture or permaculture, but I am. And it's very, very essential to gardening, and it's very, very essential to farming. I actually don't have a garden. I actually have a farm. It's on 10 acres. And we got it, and it's a fruit farm, essentially. We got apple trees, we got green apple trees, Granny Smith apples, blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, natural mulberries. We have peaches, we have pears, we have Asian pears, cherry trees, watermelon, anything that you can think of when it comes to the fruit part of the family of food with seed after its kind we grow. And copper is essential. So, I don't only use the copper to help grow the food faster and make it stronger, but I use the copper because the soil is copper deficient. And that's
Okay.
one of the main minerals that we as so-called African Americans is missing. And that's the reason why we have such a bad iron problem. And when you look at iron phosphate, when you look at iron phosphate in the cell, it is used to help generate ATP. The whole point and purpose of human beings in these physical vessels is to convert what you would actually call sugar water, to use that water as fuel and vitality, but you can experience reality in these vehicles. Well, in order to do that, you need magnesium, you need iron phosphate. And in order to actually pull iron out of the liver, you need a protein called ceruloplasmin. And ceruloplasmin is actually guarded and facilitated by the mineral copper. So without
Mm,
copper, you get no energy, or you wouldn't have any type of electricity in the nervous system to even help what you will call the mitochondria to produce what you will call adenosine triphosphate. Instead,
mm,
you would get a discharge energy called adenosine diphosphate. And we all know that all diseases start with mitochondria injury because we are missing that
mm,
mineral copper. So I do use copper a lot. I do use the copper rods. They the short ones. They don't need to be sticking 10 feet out the ground. Not hate on anybody that have theirs that big. I know we as so-called African Americans, we like to decorate and we like to, deck ourselves with silver and gold and look good. So I see why they exaggerate and have them sticking out of the ground like that. But we do utilize them. But mine's is more for the physiology and more for the healing potential of the copper, and not just to grow the fruit or the vegetables big, because they do that as well. And you get the harvest. I notice when we use copper, we get the harvest twice in our harvest season instead of
right.
harvesting one. It yields the crop so much faster. The integrity of the crop looks way better. Even the
Mhm,
taste
mhm,
is different. And then again, you're adding that trace mineral copper, which is very, very essential to the body. And us
mm,
as African, so-called African Americans, we need copper, because without copper, we get these false diagnoses like we anemic or we iron deficient,
mm,
when we're not iron deficient at all. In fact, we have way too much iron inside of our body. The issue is that the iron is staying inside of the liver because we don't have ceruloplasma, which is used by copper to pull the actual iron out of the liver and distribute it throughout the bloodstream to deliver it to each and every cell, for our mitochondria can get a hold of it and turn it into the necessary energy that we need for vitality.
excellent, excellent, my brother. Once again, shout out to everybody in the chat. The people are filling in. I know some of y'all are coming in look like, oh shit, Yaki's on it. And Yaki, before I ask the next question, it's a great question. How are you doing mentally, brother? I know YouTube has been taking down your channels. I know you got things going on the independent side. So before we even continue, how are you doing mentally, knowing that you're being censored on certain platforms? Is everything good, my brother?
Everything good with me. I'm alive and I'm breathing. They took my YouTube channel 3 times. They took me off of, they banned me from TikTok, which is crazy. I got over what we up to now, and I'll be about 500 million views. 500 million views. I am literally in the top 20 most viewed on TikTok, and I don't even have a TikTok account, which is crazy. And they let other people utilize all of my information and all of my
That's
hard
crazy.
work. They won't let
Yeah.
me utilize it myself. They banned me off of TikTok. They took me off of Twitter, and I thought Twitter was for freedom of speech, but they took me off of that as well, and off of YouTube. I still got my Instagram page, which I think we had 1.5 million, and I still have my Facebook page. And my Facebook page, we finna be at 1 million on my Doctor Yahki clinic side, and then I'm at like 450,000 on my personal Yahki Rafa Elohim. But mentally, man, I'm good. This come with the territory. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
proclaim and profess to be a son of light, and you doing all of this light work, and then you don't expect darkness to come, because whenever you turn on a flashlight, you actually exposing the shadows that's in the dark. So this come with the job.
Mm,
I'll be a
mm,
fool to sit up here and complain. So I'm good, and I know what come with the territory. I'm from the streets.
mm.
Got gunshot wounds,
Hey.
stab wounds. I had to get surgery on my mouth. You see, I got these temps in. They had to remove metal from here to here because I had my jaw broke in a gang fight when I was 16. So I had to reconstruct my jaw, and they put titanium and 5% nickel inside of my jawbone. I had to get all of that removed because it started literally tainting and poisoning my blood. You see what I'm
Mm.
saying? So
I
that
like
came
metal.
with
Yeah.
being in the streets. So of course, if you switch over and you still that same person, I'm still the same me. You know what I'm saying? I just switch my intentions and my energy. So now, since I'm on the positive side, then it's a new level, new devil, brother. So I'm good, man.
Yo, family, make sure y'all follow Yahki on his platforms. And before we continue this show, we people feeling we had over 1,000 now. Make sure y'all text your family and friends that Yahki Awaken is live on YouTube on Black Magic 363. Let's get this thing really popping tonight. We're gonna have a great time. If y'all see the different background, I'm actually at an Airbnb. I'm in New York City. So things is a little different. I hope y'all can hear me great with the mic and everything, but I'm actually away in New York City at an Airbnb. So it's good to be away and actually, be talking to my brother right now. Yahki, and then let me say this real quick, Yahki. I like your family. So I had a talk with Yahki before the show began. Part of it was about him being banned from YouTube, right? One thing I forgot to mention, Yahki, and I don't even want a response from you, brother. But you know what? Remember what we were just talking about? Remember what another big, a huge reason why you're being banned outside of everything I just said? You know what Yahki, I'm glad it's because it's coming to me. You know what a huge reason is? On top of all that? You're Hebrew. Oh, shit. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? You heard me, right? On top of everything I just said and everything you're doing, you talking about the streets, brother, you represent you're Hebrew. And we're not going to get in that because we know what that leads to and, whatever. But I just want to say that, brother. They're like, wait, hold up. So I just wanted to say that. Yahki, so we just talked about copper. We know a lot of people in the spiritual community wear copper on their bodies. And copper bracelets and rings, and we seen the crowns. We see them using copper in the plants. One thing we also see, Yahki, black people, we love wearing gold. I got some on. I think you got on the gold watch. We wear gold teeth, my nigga. Gold braid. We got gold everywhere. So let me ask you this, Yahki. The same way we wear copper and plant copper, should we wear gold and also plant gold? Should I get a 24-karat gold bar and plant that mother effer in my garden? And I'm gonna bring the most beautiful fruit and vegetables in the world, my brother.
Well, as far as gold is a very, very, very rich mineral, and it is used in 100% of all technologies that's here in the world that we're using right now. That's in your computers, it's in your phone, but it's the same as copper too. So these are what you will call precious minerals or precious metals. Gold look good on melanin, it looks good on us. Gold look good in our mouth, and it is very, very essential for our body. That's why you have things called atomic gold. You got people with gold serums, and you can take them in tincture form. But I will sit here and say, scientifically, and just through my studies and through my experience, copper is way more essential and much more of a necessity to human biology than gold. But we do need gold. So gold look good on us. Gold is a conductor of electricity, but copper is more vital and more important than gold. So, but you can see as far as fashion wise, putting it on your skin, I think both of them look good. I'm gonna wear the gold before I wear the copper on my skin, but I'm gonna put the copper in my body before I put the gold in my body.
Indeed. Well said, my brother. Well said. Let me ask you this, and I might ask, some unorthodox questions, but everybody has a unique experience in this lifetime. One thing I've experienced, and I want to ask you about that may be a little weird. It's a little kind of a weird question, but I know I'm from the car. Like I said, I'm on vacation. I'm in New York, and how we usually do in New York, your whole life, you hear people like, if a person doesn't have access to the bathroom, Yahki, they'll say, "Oh man, let me brothers, like let's say brothers, and they're outside. They're like, oh man, let me use the bathroom real quick." So when they say let me use the bathroom quick, the first thing they look for is a tree. That's the first thing they look for. So they go to a tree and they urinate by the tree. Now I've heard of urine therapy with Doctah B. That's the first time I heard of urine therapy. But what is actually, if we urinate, and there's so many people in the cities that when they urinate, it's like, how a person will look for a stall or a restroom in the hood, you look for a tree. That's where you're urinating at. So what is that doing to the tree, having so many people go and urinate by it?
Well, we know that urine therapy is, in fact, I spoke against it earlier in my career, but as I kept studying, and as I experienced my own experience by getting stung by jellyfish in the ocean in Miami, and I
Whoa.
literally used my own urine. Yeah, I got stung, man. I got attacked by some
Oh,
poisonous
no.
jellyfish, and when I got to shore, everybody was on the beach like, pee on
Mhm.
yourself, pee on yourself. Hey, look, mind you, the day before I was on live talking about how I would never, use my own urine, drink my own urine. It's a bunch of metabolites inside of urine, metabolic waste, urea. I mean, I'm talking nitrogen buildup. I'm talking all of this stuff, but God got a way. The creator got a way of making you shut up. So I went in the ocean swimming, ended up getting attacked by some jellyfish, which is weird. They say it only happened to 1% of African Americans in the world. So it happened to me. I was chosen to just get stung by jellyfish, end up swimming to the shore. And when I got out, everybody was saying, you need vinegar, you need vinegar. But wasn't no place around to get the vinegar. So all of the Caucasians was on it. That was like, pee on yourself, pee on yourself. So one of them ran up to me, they're like, I'm telling you, urinate on yourself, put it in that area. It's gonna stop the burning. Because I started getting bumps everywhere. They're like, it's gonna stop the spread and everything. So I'm thinking in my head, how ironic. I just talked down on urine therapy, but I'm literally about to use urine for therapy right now. So I ran up to the little bathroom and literally I got my urine, I peed in my hands, I rubbed it all over my body. And
Mm.
it took away the burn, it made me feel better. I mean, on the whole way home, because I was staying in Brickell, which is East Miami, which is about a 45-minute drive. I'm smelling like piss the whole way home.
Oh,
Everybody in the car looking at me crazy. But I just used the urine after the day before. I just did a whole lot, and I would never do it. And how bad it was. Urine do have a bunch of medicinal properties to it. I mean, think about it. Urine is actually in your body. Your fluids actually create this urine. So anytime your body is getting rid of something, it's going to need a transport and a detoxification pathway to get it out of the body. In order for that to happen, the so-called immune system is going to have to come in play. Neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, these things will have to be in that area. Plus, all the things that chelate the cells and move them out of the body will have to be positioned in that area as well. All of these things are actually inside your urine. So me personally, I will never drink my urine, but I'm not talking down or judging anybody that do it. But I can see the benefits and the actual medicinal purposes if someone choose to do so. Me, I'm going to lean more on herbs, vegetables, fruit fasting, intermittent fasting, in my herbal therapies and things like that. But
Mm.
urine does have medicinal properties to them, and it's your own fluid that's in your own body. It's like drinking from your own well if you look it up in ancient times. So, and then you got to talk about transgenerational epigenetic inheritance and things that's been passed down to us by our ancestors. Back then, they really didn't have toilets and commodes per se, especially not the less fortunate. So the thing that they did was they went by a tree and they wiped their behinds with leaves, and they went by a tree and they urinated. So from a metaphysical aspect, that is given back to mother who birthed you, which is earth. And what is the best thing to give back other than your own bodily fluids if they're a non-harmful? Now, when we're talking about people that drink soda pop and we talking about people that drink liquor, and they drinking all of these toxins and poisons, and then they giving this urine back to earth, that to me, that's disrespectful, but that's my perspective. But a person that's healthy, a person that's in tune with nature, and a person that's in a balance of homeostasis and that's in alignment, them urinating on a tree and them giving back or pooping in a yard somewhere and wiping their butt on a leaf, that's the way you give back. And then think about when you growing. I'm a farmer. We are literally using cow, we using chicken dung, we using all of the different byproducts of these different animals, and we making compost with it, and we're using that to help grow our food. So it's kind of the same analogy. You give back to the earth and the earth give back to you.
Well, let me ask you this, Yahki. This may be a
Uh-huh.
little uncomfortable for you to answer,
Uh-huh.
but you talked about the cow dung, and I forgot who I talked to about this. I think maybe Dr. Valentine mentioned this before.
Uh-huh.
Would you ever use human dung in your farm? Your dung, if you so motherfucking healthy, would you
Uh-huh.
ever use your own dung to grow your food since you're using dung from a cow and all that other stuff, my brother?
That's a good question. If it came down to it and it was a necessity and I had to, I would. But since we do got cattle, since I do have access to making my own compost and we have chickens and things like that, I would continue to use that. But I mean, if it came down to it, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I'm not in that position where I have to use my own defecation to grow my own food. But I do see that idealism though, and I'm
Yeah,
not opposed to it if I had to do it. You see what I'm saying?
indeed, indeed. A little earlier you talked about street culture you grew up in, and things you've been through, and you're like the top dog in this health community, like you him in the health community, right? And I wonder, and I'm like, this is more of a spiritual question, Yahki. You ready? You want a spiritual question, my brother?
John, give me one.
All right. So a person like you, a person that's following their purpose, they will get signs. It could be the most insignificant signs that nobody else will understand, but it's a plethora of signs when you're young telling you you're going to be where you're going to be. Let me give you an example. Just something that might be totally non-significant to somebody, me explaining to somebody, but when I got older and I do what I do, I see why I thought the way I thought when I was young, and I'm trying to figure out what signs that Yahki get, because I want people to know when they're getting signs. One of the things that, now you see, I'm an interviewer. I ask questions. I gotta stimulate the conversation. I gotta keep this thing electrifying. We gotta have a good time while we're talking on this podcast. One of the things when I look back at Yahki when I was young, I always remember something that was very important to me. Very important. When you we come from a different era, and when we talked on the phone to girls when we was young. One of the things that was very important to me, Yahki, is in my mind I was like, damn, I gotta have a stimulating conversation. I gotta make sure that it was real important to me to not just call her, because you get the number, right? A nigga, a bag of chick, get the number, but what do you have to say once you get the number?
You gotta have something to talk about.
Gotta have something to talk about. That was so important to me. Yeah. Like it was a success to me if I got the girl's number and we had a conversation for an hour. Like that shit to me, that was a victory. That was a victory.
Rich used to be caking, boy. You was one of them brothers sitting on the cabinet with the microwave, talking on the phone, on top of the table.
Listen. But I love being able to maintain a conversation with a woman. For a long period of time, because I know that was something that a lot of dudes couldn't maintain or offer. Yeah. And it was just dope to me. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I got in the bag then. That was just, so I look back at it now and I see how I'm able to have a conversation on a podcast or ask certain questions, because I used to be interested in questions back then. Well, what I'm gonna ask her? I need to ask her something, So I can see, like, damn, I've been getting breadcrumbs all along to tell me who I was going to be later on in life. I want to know what messages did Yahki, like I said, you the top dog. What messages did you get along you? I know you was in the street, but I know you was getting messages along the way. What can you talk to us about? How was God communicating with you throughout your early life, Yahki?
Well, just being a part of, the culture, cliques, gangs, and just growing up. For one, I always been a leader. I always had a bunch of brothers running behind me asking, hey, what's the next move, Yahki? What we doing next? I'm doing what you doing. I got you. You know what I'm saying? So always had that leadership role and mentality throughout my whole entire life. So I knew I was going to be at the front end of something. And then another thing, my grandma, may the Most High rest her soul. She had me, growing strawberries when I was 7. I'm growing strawberries. She used to make me plant them. I used to have to go out, water them, make sure that the sun was hitting them right, and I had to pull them. So I was growing food when I was younger. Didn't know I was going to be doing the same thing today. But, and then while we was forming together, she used to always apply form to life. You know what I'm saying? Patience. You got to be patient. You got to wait on the harvest. You got to make sure that you plant your seed in solid ground. You don't want to be a seed that fall by the wayside, because she was very deep into church. Just a whole lot of things, but man, just how I ended up here, like I said, only thing changed was my energy and my intentions, but I've been the same person. I'm a warrior and I'm a servant. I always been that type of person for my clique, for my brothers, for the woman I was with. I was always the provider. I was always the protector, always the one trying to figure out a way out. It's just now, since I'm in the health space, I'm trying to figure out a way out of this contraption that we in, this illusion that we call disease. And I done broke the code and I done figured it out. So I'm pioneering and I'm leading in that level of this generation because I've been doing it my whole life with everything else. My energy was just focused on the bad because I didn't have a father figure in my life, or I didn't have the right, peers in my life telling me, hey, that's the wrong way to go. We tribal people, and I'm a very, very tribal soul. So I'm used to being clicked up and being around brothers, and I'm a part of a wolf pack. I just have a wolf pack mentality when it comes to my brothers and sisters because I like community. So, back then I was just looking at it like, look, my daddy ain't here, so I'm finna go find my daddy in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Look, my mom ain't around right now, so I'm finna go find my mom and a woman. So I took all of those and I did bad with it, but only I just had to change my focus and my energy. So once I got it, and once I attacked my heart and learned from that, and I had a second chance to redo life, I said, I'm gonna take all of this information that I know and I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna take the spirit of the warrior that I got. I'm gonna take that leadership spirit I got. I'm gonna take all these things that my grandmother passed down to me, and I'm gonna use this to help heal my people because I was out here hurting my people. You know what I'm saying? I was out here hurting my body, doing drugs, smoking, drinking, eating all types of meats, eating against my biological nature. So I said, I'm gonna take the same way that I would have died for one of my clique members. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna die for everybody that look like me in the name of goodness, though. And that's it. So, it was the character that I kept seeing come up. Like the character never changed. The leadership, being a provider, being proactive, being a producer, being a warrior, and being a servant to the community never changed. I was just a servant in a bad way. Now I'm a servant in more of a righteous, good way.
Excellent, excellent. And I think what's beautiful, my brother, and shout out to this brother right here. Let me inform y'all of this brother in the chat. This is one of Yahki's peoples, his manager, Mikael Nabi. Make sure if you want information about Yahki, don't talk to anybody but this brother right here. Don't talk to it. There's a lot of scams going on right now. If he's in the chat, you talk to him. Anybody, y'all know King Simon, of course, he's the moderator. He will share Yahki's website, but you talk to this brother right here. All right. Shout out to Nabi. Nabi's always been a great brother to deal with and do business with. You are extremely blessed, Yahki, to have a brother like this on your team. All right.
Yeah, he's a good brother. He's a good elder, man, and a good counselor, man. Like he give me, that's my OG. Whenever I go through a hardship, he's been around a few times. So, whenever I go through a hardship or I just got a question that I can't seem to dig out myself, since he's been around a few times, hey, elder, not be Mikhail. That's the question I got for you. What do you think? Because he's so experienced and he always come from just a OG level status to what he doing. He's full of wisdom, man. And I appreciate that, brother, dearly.
When we have public figures, important figures, popular figures, whatever term you want to use, celebrities, like let's say a brother blows up off of he's a Hebrew Israelite, right? And he has this huge following, Yahki. He's a Hebrew Israelite. Not I'm talking about the brothers that be in the street, right? And he may get information that evolves his consciousness, but it's hard for him to tell the people because the people already have a certain system that he taught them or she taught them. So we rarely get speakers. It could be in the Nation of Islam, it could be Hebrew, it could be Christianity. You may create a whole nation of people, right? And you teach them about Jesus. Then one day you may be like, damn, maybe Jesus didn't exist. But you're not going to tell the people that because they believe what you originally told them.
Well, they not going to tell the people that I'm going to catch the people up.
Listen. That's where I'm getting, brother. Okay. Hold up. Hold your horses, Yahki. Hold your horses, Yahki. What's beautiful about you, brother, is seeing, and this is rare, because I seen the greats. I'm young, but I seen videos of Dr. John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben and Bobby or whatever. You know what I seen in you? I seen if you see Dr. Sabi, right? And he was consistent with what he said. The difference with you is you're evolving in front of us. Yeah. Right in front of us, and we don't even know it. We don't even realize it. Doc, listen, Yahki is doing something that we don't see from probably 95% of the other teachers, he's evolving in front of us. And Yahki may be like, shit, you know what I believed 3 years ago? I don't even go with that. That's so hard, Yahki, the ego. Family, I really need y'all to listen to me, and I know I'm hyped, and I'm hyped for a good reason. I got Dr. Yahki on my show. But listen, it's so hard for a speaker to tell you something in 2025, and then in 2028 say, damn, you know what I discovered, y'all? I may have been a little off, or I just discovered this, so I got to take this into consideration. That's hard. That's a hard thing to do, and I see you do it all the time, brother. So I gotta commend you, brother. The evolution of Yahki in front of my eyes, brother.
Information evolve, man. Like, the whole purpose of us having consciousness, seated inside of these vessels that we call body is to experience reality. The more and more you experience, the more you collect in this data and this information that's being fed to you in this third dimensional realm of density. It changes because it evolves. So if it evolves and it updates, you have to update with it. You know what I'm saying? And then, I have my own laboratory. We got our own clinics. We have a lot of stuff. So as you applying the knowledge and you start doing experiments, and then you get different outcomes, and then you do those same experiments, and the outcome is different than what you taught. Because I used to be a regurgitator. I started off as a regurgitator. I had the intellect.
That's deep. That's deep.
I had the mental capacity to remember. There's a difference between remembering and literally learning something, applying it, doing comparative studies, experiencing it after the experiment, and then teaching the people. I've been doing this for almost 15 years. When I first started off, I was a regurgitator of Dr. Sabi. I was a regurgitator of Dr. Layla Africa. I was a regurgitator of Dr. Morris. I was a regurgitator of Dr. Ben Clark. I was a regurgitator. So I learned the information. It resonated with my spirit, with my soul. It felt good. So I didn't feel the necessity or the need to apply the information to oneself, seeing what it do to me after I'd applied the knowledge. As soon as I heard it, since I was so good at memory, my mind is like a sponge. I can remember anything, and I can say it back to you, and I can say it back to you in a way that I can explain it, and you will be able to understand it. But I wasn't applying it and testing it. So one day I had an elder of mine from Alton, Illinois. They said, look, we need to start applying all these things because you wrong about this. And I had ego then. He's like, you wrong about this. And look, matter of fact, I'll tell you, it was my Uncle James. He's like, you wrong about this particular subject. You need to do the research and the study yourself. And I ended up doing it, and I was wrong. So from that point on, I said, well, anything that I hear, whether it sound good or not, because preachers sound good. Why they take your money? They sound good in church. The spirit get to moving. You jumping around. They sing a song. You start crying. You start thinking about sins you committed 4 years ago. But then once you start, but if you apply it and you look up what they say that's in the Bible, it wasn't even there. So what I started doing was I started counting every man a liar. Yeah, you sound good, but let me go research this. Yeah, it feels good and it resonates with my spirit, but let me do my own experiment. Let me do my own thing. So once I started doing my own things, my outcomes was different. So now I got to go back and say, hey, look, I said this 5 years ago off of regurgitation. I'm saying this now and it sounds different because not only information changed, it evolved, and I'm evolving too. And this is what I've learned being in this game for so long. You have to remain a student and you have to remain teachable. The moment you think you know everything, and the moment you tell somebody that you are not wrong, that's the moment that you shut off your cipher from the universe, and the universe will no longer feed you any of the gifts or the intellectual properties and things that you need to move further in life with your specific genre that you in. So me, I'm always open-minded. I'm never closed-minded to anything. Only thing I'm closed-minded to is things that go against my morals. That's it. Other than that, hey, I'm an open mind. I'm gonna listen to it. If it resonate with me, I'm gonna take those bits and pieces. I'm gonna do my own experiments on them. And then if my outcome come out to the outcome of yours and mine was different, I'm gonna say, hey, look, this is a different outcome, y'all. We have to take this into consideration. And if the outcome stay my outcome, I'm not the person to say I was right and you was wrong. I'm gonna say, hey, maybe I understand that, but look, I just did this, and what I said, I'm backing it up. Maybe you need to do the research. Maybe you need to do the experiment. And I pray to God that you're not moving and operating in ego, and that you'll be able to humble yourself and be like, hey, brother, Dr. Yahki, you was right. So I'm not here for the for the piss contest or none of that. I hear a lot of people that look just like me mention my name in every last one of their videos. Y'all don't hear me mentioning nobody name because
No.
I'm in a genre in a league of my own. I don't feel the need to talk about anybody or bring anybody up to feel important. And also, I will never get on a public platform, whether I hate a person or not. If he of my complexion and we from the same gene and tribe, I'm not going to speak about you in a public platform in a down way. I'm gonna salute you. I'm gonna say peace be unto you. Hey, and when you get a chance, come holler at me in person. But we can hash out what we got going on. We have to quit getting on these platforms, downing each other in front of everybody, making ourselves look like fools. And again, I come up from the streets. We handle business and we politic behind closed doors. You never do that on a platform exposing another brother that look just like you to the community because it makes all of us look like asses. So that's just how I always operated. I'm not a person that's just on a high horse. I know that any given time that I can transition out of this realm. I know that any given time somebody can come on the scene and know more than me. I know any given time somebody can do a new study that show a different outcome than the studies I've been doing because technology is growing and information change. So me, in order for me to stay relevant, in order for me to stay in the game, in order for me to serve my people the best that I can, I allow my mind to be open-ended. I'm teachable, brother.
You know, one of the things I've heard is that we shouldn't you know, you go to a restaurant, they're like, well, what would you like to drink? Like, my name is Richard, man. What would you like to drink, Richard, or whatever they know your name? What would you like to drink along with your meal? And you have your meal and you have your drink and you're eating and you're drinking. And several of the teachers, Dr. Africa, say you're not supposed to drink and eat at the same time. You eat and then you drink a little later. What I want to ask you is one thing that's a part of our culture is eating and talking. How is eating something we shouldn't talk while we're eating? Should we focus primarily on eating? No talking, no drinking, none of that. How does eating and holding a conversation affect the digestion of the very thing you're eating, Yahki?
It's a very, very good question. In my book, Healing the Illusion We Call Disease, I have a chapter called Ingestion. And it's talking, it says the digestion before the bite, what's happening before you even eat the food. So, and I start the chapter off talking about, you know, prayer and sending out gratifications and sending out affirmations or affirming over your food before you eat it. This already set a tone neurologically to actually have digestive enzymes. The precursor starts activating inside of your body. So now the hydrochloric acid in your stomach is getting ready to receive the food. Your Pepsi and all of your different digestive enzymes are starting to be activated, waiting for you to receive the food to break it down. So
you talking about food foreplay, my nigga?
Hey, I mean, technically that's what it is. But look, think about it though. So look, abracadabra is a Hebrew word. It means I create what I speak. We know that, you know, the world function off of vibrations and sounds. We know that the sun function off vibration and sounds. These vibrations and sounds sends out photons. These photons materialize what you would call the invisible to the visible off the light spectrum. So the same thing happened with your sounds and the words that come from your vessel. So, you know, before you eat food, and I'm talking about food, whether it's good or bad, because there have been studies showing people eating bad food. And I'm not promoting eating bad food at all. I hope we get into this, but I'm just showing you the power of the mind and of your words. Where people would eat bad food, but speak good affirmations and give the food gratitude, and they are still able to break down that food efficiently and actually have a defecation and get rid of it. They go through a full digestive process, other than somebody that is short-wielded, that have a short temper and don't have any patience, and that their belly is their God. And as soon as they see the food, they just swallow it down real fast. They don't speak over the food. They don't have good conversations while eating the food. You know, the food is going to digest itself different. So the question you asked was, can you have a conversation while eating your food, or should you be focused on just eating the food? No. Food is communion, not only with God and yourself, and the food is communion with the food that God created and for your body, but it's also communion, and it brings family together. That's the reason why back in the days, and the reason why I'm saying back in the days, because a lot of families don't do it no more. They ate together. They sat down at a table and they ate and they communed together. hopefully the conversation is good, because if you having bad conversations, you shouldn't be eating. If you and your significant other is into it, I suggest you don't have her make your meal, because these different energies play a role on the food. You see what I'm saying? So, but yeah, this is scientifically proven, and it is actually in my book in the ingestion chapter, that your thoughts while you're eating, the conversation you having while you eating your food, all play a significant role on how the food actually metabolically break down in your body. Just the smell of certain foods going through your senses, the smell, the touch of the texture. That's the reason why you're supposed to eat with your fingers, and you're not supposed to use spoons, forks, and utensils, because you have to create this type of intimate relationship with your food. When you touch your food and you eat it, it lets your stomach know, okay, I'm only big enough to take this much food in. Scientifically proven, when you touch your food and you eat it, your stomach release certain chemicals like a measuring factor, and you be like, okay, 3 bites, I know I'm full. If you do it with a spoon and fork, since you're not using those senses, or those sensories, now you just eat until you full and you don't know it. Same thing with smell. It's good to smell your food. Actually give it a good whiff before you eat it, and tasting it. And notice who do it. The person that does all this is the person that's cooking the food. And that's the reason why once they done cooking the food, they ain't hungry no more. But the person receiving the food and sitting at the table haven't learned these principles yet. So they get full. They're not digesting their food correctly. They eating too fast. We don't know how to chew at all. We haven't even been taught how to chew we don't know how to chew properly as a community. We biting our foods in 2 bites and then we swallowing it down. That hurts, and that hurts our digestive system. So talking in communion is good, because you are building relationships, you strengthening a community, y'all are nourishing y'all bodies together, which makes it more intimate. Hopefully the conversation is good. You're getting all those digestive precursors and enzymes activated, ready to break down the food. And then not only that, you send the affirmations and gratitudes to the creator for providing you that food. This is what you would call building a beautiful life. And we know that the creation, or that the universe love to give to those who give gratitude, because the universe responds differently than the selfish complaining person. The person say, I'm just thankful for what I have. I'm thankful for what I have. You get more. You know what I'm saying? And the beautiful thing about the creation, the only thing it knows is either taking away or abundance. It ain't gonna say, I'm gonna give you $1. No, it's gonna give you exactly what you resonated at. So yes, I think that is very, very important. And I think it's very important that you sit down as a community to eat your food. I don't think we all should be spread it apart. Of course, sometimes you working, you got to go to the back room to eat, and the children might sit at the table. But if you can pick a day out of the week, usually in the Black community it's Sunday, and you have a family dinner where you all sit at a big table and y'all amongst yourselves like a community. You're leading in prayer. Y'all foods, and y'all talking about solving problems. The digestive system love that. The hydrochloric acid is activated. Pepsin and all the other different types of enzymes that help metabolically break down your food is activated. The amylase and trypsin, the salivary glands, is activated. Your whole entire senses is open, ready to receive that meal and extract all of the phytonutrients and phytochemicals that you need to rebuild your molecular structure.
So Yahki, real quick, let me try to figure out if this is how this thing works, because it just sounds very interesting, Yahki. So let's say, because you talked about eating with your hands, and we live in the Western culture where we all use forks and knives, and then when we see people in other countries use their hands, we're like, they're uncivilized, those savages. Oh my goodness, what is wrong with them? We're very, judgmental and ignorant in our approach to other cultures. I want to ask you this. So just thinking about how technology works. We are technology, but we also utilize technology, and often that technology helps us to understand our technology. So the technology that we use on our computer, let's say you have a Wi-Fi connection versus an Ethernet connection, Yahki. If you have an Ethernet connection, you will get the signal way faster because it's plugged in. So you get that signal faster. If you have a Wi-Fi connection, there's a chance, depending on how fast your Wi-Fi signal is, there's a delay. So you may have a delay, a big delay or a small delay, but there is a delay because it's Wi-Fi. I want to ask you, is it like that with eating? So with eating, if I touch my food and I'm eating with my hands, I got that Ethernet connection, and it tells me immediately what the food is. Do I like it? I don't like it. And am I full or not full? And if I eat with a fork or spoon, is that like a Wi-Fi connection where I
Yeah.
may be full, but I don't know till
Yes.
2 minutes later, and I
Yeah.
done overate because my Wi-Fi signal done came in too late because
It's
I'm not totally connected with the food. Does it work like that?
Yeah, it's actually a disconnection. Like when you look at your skin is made from the same cells as your brain. Your
Yeah.
skin and your brain is made of the same cells
Mm,
in your nervous
mm,
system. Is you have something called the endoderm, the ectoderm, and the mesoderm. So when you
yeah.
look at your skin cells, it's actually made from the same cells as your brain. When you
Mm,
look at your skin and what your skin does, especially the hair on your skin, they have electrical mechanisms in it where they interact with the environment and bring back these informations and signals, and they tell you how to respond to your environment, whether to go into a stage of fight or flight in the environment or go into a stage of homeostasis and grow, because your cells can't do both. Your cells can't be in survival mode and they can't proliferate at the same time, so they're going to always choose adaptation and survival over anything, because the whole purpose of you here is to stay on this earthly plane and realm long enough to gather the information to bring back to your higher self when you transition out of this realm. So when you start looking at food, it's a whole database of information that you gathering. Some of the database and information that you gathering is to rebuild the molecular structure. That's what you have carboxylic acid for, amino acid for. You have trace minerals, electrolytes. You have all of these different things. These phytochemicals and these phytonutrients is to rebuild the molecular structure, but you also are feeding your neural capacity and you're feeding your consciousness as well. That's why we say things like food for thought. It's not talking about physical substance that you put in your body, but it's talking about something that you digest through your bioelectrical grid of field that's around you, and you digesting that as well on an energetic level. So when you touching your food, you're actually getting familiar with your food through the actual nerve endings and through the senses, or what you will call that touch mechanism in your hand. You getting the measurement of your food. You're feeling the texture of your food. You feeling all of the frequencies of your food. So when you do the hand to mouth, this is associating the body connection with the food. You're getting to know the environment around you. Just by doing that alone, there's certain neurological chemicals that is going off in your brain. Dopamine receptors, serotonin rises. Again, trypsin and amylase come from the salivary glands, which is able to now salivate what you put inside of your mouth. Then you swallow it. Now the hydrochloric acid in these gastric juices inside your stomach, ready to take these things in the fungus of the stomach to break the food down. The pyloric sphincter and all the microbes are inside the stomach. They ready to work through the villi and break this food down to extract all of the phytonutrients and chemicals you need to go to the bloodstream. Now we know that life is in the blood, which is the oxygen that's in the blood, the consciousness. KRS just said that. The consciousness, the oxygen is the consciousness. That's why when you lose breath, you lose consciousness and you lose your life. So we know that all these things contribute to that oxygen being proliferated in the blood cells to make it through every cell in the body, for you can continue using this vessel to experience reality. So when you look at food, we have to stop looking at food as something that tastes good. We got to look at food as information. And what is this
right.
information that you put in your body? You wouldn't knowingly click on a link on your phone that if you open it is going to give you a virus, right? You
Right.
going as soon
Exactly.
as you see
Yeah.
that link, you going to erase it, block it, and go right past it. But we need to start looking at these, because look, you said that we got two technologies. We have the technologies like our cell phones, our computers. Then we have
Mm,
a biological technology, which is
mm,
what I call this body. I
mm,
believe you. So when it comes to the technology, or what I'm gonna call machinery,
mm,
we are very, very cautious with that. You put your phone in a phone case, look at that. You got screen
mm,
protectors on it and all of that. But when it comes to our technology, we don't have no type of protection or vetting process. We just let anything enter into it, and we wonder why we out of whack and we acting like that. Most of psychosis that go on in the neurological episodes of psychosis that go on in the USA is because of this sad standard American diet. It's feeding our microbes wrong inside of our body. There's a book called The Mind and Brain Connection, the gut and brain connection, and it talks about all of the microbes inside of your gut. And if you feed them the wrong things, they literally secrete ammonia in different types of metabolites and acidic byproducts waste that can pass the brain and blood barrier and have you having psychotic episodes all off what you ate. Another study shown that people that tend to eat more spices after 8 o'clock, they have bad dreams. Y'all can look this stuff up. More in people that eat spices earlier in the day and then they eat more alkalining agents late at night, they have more sound soothing sleep and they produce more melatonin to keep them in REM sleeping longer. So we can't act like what you eat doesn't have a spiritual imprint on your body, because what you eat is not only physical food, but it's spiritual food. And how you can prove this, you just got to ask, where did it come from? Where the food came from a seed? Where did the seed come from? What came from protons, neutrons, and electrons? But where did the protons, neutrons, and electrons come from? Where it come from the atom? Well, where did the atom come from? And you keep going back, and you keep going back, and it come from an invisible realm. So we have to quit looking at food like it's just substance for the body. No, it's substance for the soul.
Indeed. Wow. I want to ask you, like I said, I love having these conversations with you, my brother. I'm able to talk to you about spiritual concepts as well as health concepts. And what I want to ask you about is, we have something in this world, energy and vibration. And they say your tribe is your vibe. We say things like that. Your tribe is your vibe. Go to who you vibrate with or resonate with. And a major thing that's confusing to our community is the mates that we pick. We're like, yo, there's no good this, there's no good that, whatever. What I want to ask you about, Yahki, is something I will call the battle of energies. So if I'm with a sister, let's say I'm Brother Rich and I eat healthy. Well, I'm not vegan. Let me just say I'm not vegan, but let's say I'm vegan. And let's say I eat all this juice, I'm juicing and all this stuff. And then I get with a sister that eat lamb, chicken, things like that. And let's say we exchange saliva. We make out, we love making, or we're just kissing or whatever, we make out. Because we know saliva, I think you mentioned it briefly earlier, but it's very important. What, in terms of influencing one or the other, how does one energy influence the other? What energy is more powerful than the other in terms of influencing the other one? Will the person that eats vegan, because and this is why I asked this, because people who are vegan was like, I gotta find somebody that's vegan. If I don't find somebody that's vegan, how the fuck I'm gonna be with them? So if the vegan gets with a non-vegan, Yahki, who's influencing who in that situation, do you think, my brother?
That is a beautiful question, man. You be asking those questions. Look, I want to take this scientific, right? If you take a fully alkaline body, a person that eats alkaline forming food, their immune system is very strong. Their immune system is built up good, or what we would call the immune system. They eat nothing but fruits, vegetables, and herbs. They get in sunlight. You look at their full comprehensive blood panel; it's impeccable. If you put them in an environment that is not conducive to keep them in that state, eventually their body will start breaking down and necrotic tissues will start happening. But I want to show you balance though, because if you do the opposite, and we learned this in the Tyon rat maze experiment, if you take a acidic person with acidic thoughts, acidic mind, they're eating chicken and drinking and smoking all day, and you start fasting them and you take these things away and you put them in a predominantly alkaline environment, all of those unhealthy traits and all of that acidic waste and all of those so-called diseases go away. So it's not about what's stronger, it's about what makes sense and what's right. That's what it's about. So, this is now it's time to start talking about eating for your biology, eating for your genes, eating for your geographical location, because it's not about wrong or not. Because I can tell you right now that there is a certain group in Africa that thrives off meat and that lives well. But if we were to put them on a fully alkaline forming diet, it will harm them. And I can show you about literally 92 of African Americans are sick coming to see me because of they're on these meats. So now we got to start talking about, biology, and we got to talk about gene expression and eating for your biology, because we can't really say that, because certain things work for other ethnicities of people that don't work for us. And I want to, before we start talking about this, I want to draw a line and say that there is a difference. Biologically, there is a difference. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not a part of Africa. I'm not saying that Africans are not my brothers and sisters. I want to make a disclaimer and say that right there. I love them. They are our family. But there is a biological difference between a lot of Africans in Africa and so-called Africans in America as well. As you go through the literature, you can see that they can eat certain things and we can't, and we can eat certain things and they can't. And then once you start talking about Caucasians and Dravidians, it really get crazy then. So, based off of your geographical location, based off of your biology, you were made to eat certain food. So your question was a very profound question, but that's how I have to leave it. Everything works different for everybody, and these are facts. And I used to have that put all my eggs in one basket type of analogy until I had a brother come from Dubai, and there was a carnivore, and I mean he was doing good, but his son was messed up. But he's like, look, I just want to get checked up. And I'm like, what's your diet? Impeccable. But a same brother that's here in America, right? The so-called African American get on this ketogenic carnivore diet, kidneys go down within 6 months. And now they trying to put him on dialysis because he's leaking protein. You see what I'm saying? So, different strokes for different folks. Everything works different for everybody. And that's the reason why experimenting on self is very, very important. Now, I wouldn't be with a woman that eat meat. I would. That's just me personally. Like, I don't want you smoking cigarettes and drinking every day. And that's not nothing judgmental, because look, I used to smoke cigarettes, I used to drink every day, and I used to eat meat. It's just that where I'm at in my life right now, that just don't resonate with me, and I wouldn't see the point and purpose of that. You know what I'm saying? I just wouldn't. Not judging them. I hope they change, wish they would see these higher levels of understanding, but if they don't, I'm not knocking them either. Still love there. You see what I'm saying? But me personally, I feel I wouldn't.
Right. And I'm trying to see whether this thing is a biological thing or a geographical thing. And I love the way you summed that up. Let's just say, you talked about the difference in the way we could eat that benefits our body between African Americans and Africans. And the thing about it is, Yahki, is that we live in a global economy now where people move all around the world. So I'm African. I'm what they will call African American. There's a whole revolution happening where they don't want to use that word no more. But let's just say, for the sake of people not arguing, I'm African American and I have a certain diet. And meat don't. I'll tell you straight up. Like I said, I'm not a vegan, but I'm smart enough to know that I don't resonate with red meat. Red meat does not do me good. Like I cannot eat a regular amount of red meat that a person uses, because it just doesn't. I start to feel things. So, but let's say, Yahki, and I lived in New York the majority of my life. Then I moved to Georgia. But let's say, Yahki, if you're saying there's a difference between African Americans and Africans and what we can eat, let's say I move to Africa with my family for the next 20 years. Can I now have their diet now that I moved to their land, Yahki? Can I eat what they eat 20 years from now because I done lived on that soil for 20 years? Or do I still have to have the African American diet even though I lived in South Africa for 20 plus years, my brother?
Well, South Africans eat South Africans, West Africans, and Northeast Africans diet is more in synergy with African Americans. So if we talking about that region, it's going to be.
It don't have to be that reason, but let's just say Africa. Let's just say Africa.
20 years is not enough, because we're talking about transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. For instance, now, let's just speak like right now, 80% of the world is lactose intolerant, right? 80%. Out of those 80%, only 21% are Europeans, right? The rest of that percentage that's lactose intolerance is who we call so-called African, and most of them are African American. So whether and these are Africans in America that's lactose intolerant, right? That they claim come from Africa. But then you can still go to Africa, and a lot of them are lactose intolerant because we lack the enzyme lactase to break down lactose. So when we eat it, what happens is it goes through our systems. It causes inflammation and irritation. So our bodies turn on detoxification mechanism. We get bloatiness, right? We get irritable bowels, and we get diarrhea. So this proved that no, that don't matter, because if we all come from Africa, right? We all come from Africa. We moved over to these so-called European nations,
Mm-hmm.
Well, then why are we still lactose intolerant
Mm.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later? And it's full in the document. This is one of the chapters out of my book, and it's called The Biological, Genetical, and Physiological Difference Between African Americans and European Descendant Population.
Mm.
This is a 30-page chapter out of my book where I went in and I even sourced all of the different sources. There's over 300 sources that speak about these differences. Our microbiome is different than Europeans, but when you check the microbiome of Africans and who we call African Americans, we
Mm.
have a slightly different microbiome as well.
Mm.
So
Mm.
yes, genetics play a role, but it have to be deeper than geographical locations, because we've been over here for a long time. If we coming from the analogy that we come from
Yeah.
Africa and we now settled in America,
Right,
right? If
right.
we coming from that standpoint, we've been over here thousands of years, right? So
Mhm.
if that's the case, then why is there still a big difference? That's what I'm asking. If
That
that's
Yeah, no, that's an amazing point, brother. I'm glad you answered it
and
like that.
I'm speaking about all literature here. Like once
Yeah.
you start really diving into the literature in my book, and I come from a place of being factual, but I also come from a place of being open-minded and compassionate enough to present the chapter in questions. That way, I leave it up to you to take all of this information, do your own comparative studies, and then answer it for yourself. You know, there's something very, 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 very special and very, very unique with so-called African Americans, man. I've never seen nothing like us on earth.
Mm.
And this is not being prejudiced. This is not feeling hatred to nobody, but we are a very, very unique people here in the Americas.
Yahki, let me ask you this, brother. So, I keep stressing how thankful I am to interview you because of your knowledge of spirituality and the whole health thing, and you sort of combine the two worlds. And one of the things I noticed, and I've talked to, I believe it was Mr. G,
Mhm.
Dr. Sabi's cameraman, great brother. He always give you props. He always tell me to tell you what's up. Mr. G always say, "Yo, tell Yahki I said what's up." Um,
Mhm.
One of the things I believe he talked about in the book is with Michael Jackson. We talking about African Americans. Michael Jackson. When it came to healing him, there was two people that he went to. One was Dr. Sabi, and another one was Deepak Chopra. Two
Uh-huh.
different approaches, Yahki. It
Uh-huh.
was the herbal approach, Dr. Sabi, and one was the mind approach, Deepak Chopra, where mentally you can heal yourself with your mind. One person is saying you heal yourself with the herbs, and you need this herb, you need that herb. You take these herbs, you're great. What I
Mhm.
want to ask you, Dr. Yahki, do you ever feel conflicted? Because sometimes it seems as though when you take the doc and there was beefing. Chopra and Sabi, they said they had a beef with each other because they're like, nigga, this shit ain't, you know how it is within the community.
Right.
His shit ain't all that. My shit is better. Well, his shit ain't all that. My shit is better. Do you ever feel conflicted when you delve into spirituality and you find this out, and then when you delve into the health community, you find that out, and you're like, damn, well, this cancels this or this cancels that. Do you ever feel conflicted with the two, my brother?
No, because it's all spiritual. There's a word called neuropsychoimmunology or
Right.
psychoneuroimmunology that
Yeah.
exists. That's real. That's scientific. You can track it. It shows how your thoughts can have chemical composites in your body to change your mood and change your biology. Dr. Bruce Limpton talk about it all the time.
Mm.
Dr. Joe Dispenza in his book, the Supernatural, speak about how your mind frame actually influence your so-called immune system and how your thoughts and the way you regulate your thoughts actually have a physical impression and make biological changes on your body. So I think that both of them should have been hollering at each other because Michael Jackson needed them both. You can't
Somebody said real quick, yeah, somebody said it was Teddy Pendergrass in the book, not Michael Jackson. But go ahead, my brother. Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, so whoever it
Whoever it
was,
was, yeah.
these same fundamental practices and principles still apply. You need both of them. Now, whether we talking about breathing, whether we talking about regulating your thoughts, whether we talking about meditation, whether we talking about going through your traumas, writing them down, balling up a piece of paper, burning the instincts, and or taking herbs, we still talking about the same thing, and that is changing the energetics of the body. That's all herbs do. Herbs are full of electrolytes. Herbs are full of minerals. These minerals have electrical conductivity to them. They have frequencies and they come with hertz. So it's going to do the same thing. We have to quit trying to separate spirituality from physicality. You can't do it. They're interwoven within each other. And that's the reason why consciousness is the seat of the soul inside the vessel. And the moment you pull them apart, we call it death. So if we know pulling spirituality or pulling the spirit and pulling the nefesh or the neshama from the basar, what you will call body in English, it creates death. That's the same thing happening when you try to separate them on this realm as well. When we talk about natural medicine and we talk about neurological medicine, we're talking about the same thing. At the end of the day, all of these things is frequency, all of these things is photons, all of these things are sound, all of these things are lights, all of these things are vibration that comes with a hertz. Right now, Rich, you can come to my clinic right now. I can put your hand on a cyber scan reading and read your biofield. I can collect your print. I can collect your print. Once I got your print, I done printed thousands of herbs here. I done printed water here. I done printed the frequency and the vibration of roses, of lavender. You can call me and say, hey, Dr. Yahki, I'm not feeling well, but I'm all the way in Harlem. I'm in New York. What can you do for me? I can send your print that I scanned from you from when you came here. I can send your frequency print, a frequency to make you feel better.
Yeah, that's fire.
So we can't act. Yeah, it's called you can look. There's many different scans: a cyber scan, a cyto scan, a bioelectrical resonance scan, the Ray Rife machine, the plasma scan. These things exist. They just backlogged them and blacklisted them because they knew that this would actually turn the pharmaceutical company upside down to drain they pockets if the population got a hold to them. Because now I don't need to lean on Dr. Yahki for herbs. Now I don't need to lean on Dr. Sabi for herbs. I don't need to go to the doctor for pharmaceuticals. All I got to do is regulate my breath and breathe right, stretch. All I got to do is open up my hip flexors and allow all of that trauma to leave from me, and then getting rid of that trauma. Look, let me show. Look, I got a story, right? We had a lady that come to the clinic, right? We did everything right. We got rid of her tumors and everything. Well, her body got rid of her tumors. I'm not a healer. The body is the healer. But we help her facilitate her healing. She got rid of her tumors, got rid of everything, but she held on to grief. She could not forgive her father because her father touched her when she was younger. And she kept holding on to that grief. And I kept telling her, you got to go talk to somebody about this. And she kept having these pains in her liver. And I'm like, look, I can keep writing you all of these different types of things for you can go get hydrocolonic therapy. I can keep giving you all this Pol Diarco. I can keep putting you on these liver cleanses. You can keep doing all of this. If you don't forgive your father for yourself, I'm not saying forgive him for what he did. I'm saying forgive yourself for holding on to this bull crap. I said these tumors gonna return, and when they return, it's going to be a manifest illness like a parasite, because parasites are multi interdimensional beings. They come from our thoughts. It's called pleomorphism. I'm like, if you don't get rid of these thoughts, I said, you're going to keep feeling sick. Tumor's gone. She still felt like she had cancer. And I'm like, look, how do you still feel like that if your CA antigen markers are now 0? You don't have it no more. The tumor is completely gone, but she's still feeling the pain where the tumor was in her breast. And now all of a sudden, she didn't listen to me and she didn't get help psychologically. Boom, tumor came back, metastasized to her liver. Metastasized to her liver. Now, to this very day, Nabi, is she here anymore? She ended up losing her life. She died.
Damn.
So look, now you have to ask yourself this question. Did she die from the diagnosis of cancer, or did she die from a grieving broken heart? Now, so look, now I got something else to put out there. And RIP her, RIP to her, and that was Tierra, RIP to Tierra. Now look, I got another question to ask you. There has been physical proof, factual, that a husband and wife that's together for over 40 years, one of them died. The other one died in less than a week.
Yeah, I've heard.
So a mental, spiritual, broken heart physically broke his heart.
Yeah.
So we can't separate spirituality from physicality.
Excellent.
It's impossible to do it. Now, let's just keep it going.
Yeah.
When you meet a beautiful woman, Rich, the first thing I think of when I meet a woman till this very day, the first thing, because I'm a male, and if any male on here is saying different, you lying. Let's just keep it real. Naturally, as a man, you're going to look at the woman for mating purposes. You're attracted to the curvy hips. You're attracted to the butt. You're attracted to the way she walks, her lip structure, her body, because as males, we are meant to procreate. So now, if you don't have any discipline, you will let that lead you to destruction. But if you will have any type of intelligence, you will look at that. You was like, okay, she biocompatible. She can reproduce. Now let me get to know her. Yeah, once I get to know her, then we can think about that now. But the first initial attraction was what? It was lust. It was the
body.
It was the will to procreate. You ain't just finna go walk up on an ugly girl and try to get to know her. Let's be real. But I'm saying this to say that these are from what you're seeing and what you're gathering from the environment. Guess what's happening to your brain? You're scanning the environment through your senses, through your touch, through your eyes, through your smell, through your taste. You scanning the environment, you bringing that data and that information back to you. A chemical exchange happened. Boom, oxytocin. Girl, I want to get to know you. That's the binding chemistry. That's the love hormone, the same thing that the woman had when she gave birth to her baby and the baby crawl up on her and start sucking on her tit. Oxytocin is released inside of that woman neurochemistry, and she bonds to the child and the child bonds to the mother. So now we can see something physical happens chemical wise from what? Something that happens spiritual that you could not, that wasn't tangible at first. Same thing with anger. If I cut open your brain and I put it out in a petri dish, I can't see anger, but yet and still you are angry. That's not tangible. That is an idea. That's a feeling. That's an emotion, an energy in motion, right? But you can see what anger do to the body. It releases neuroepinephrine and epinephrine and cortisol into the bloodstream by way of the medulla adrenal glands. Now you in a state of fight or flight. You ready to actually fight. Your heart start beating. You get this little shell inside of your throat. You start sweating and perspiring. All of the blood that's in your heart now goes to your extremities. So now you're either ready to run because you're in fear for your life, or you're ready to defend yourself. All of that are off of a simple thought. You can be thinking about what somebody did to you 3 years ago, and you experience this again in this spiritual analysis, this reoccurring spiritual thing that happened to you. You memorizing this memory have a physical chemical change on your biology. So you can't separate the two. So I think it was very, very important, whether it was Teddy or Michael or whoever, even Yahki, to go see both. Go see your natural medicine healer and go see somebody that can sit down and have you release, teach you how to stretch, teach you how to breathe, because you can breathe in and you can think about breathing in forgiveness, breathing in new life, breathing in a new reality. And then you exhaling, as you exhaling carbon dioxide, which is an actual byproduct of utilizing oxygen. So it's something bad if it's staying in the body too long. As you getting rid of this physical, cytotoxins, you actually getting rid of spiritual cytotoxins as well. So you do have both a physical immune system and a spiritual immune system. We just not in tune with it no more because we are being dumbed down through chemtrails, comtrails, contaminated mineral waters, Wi-Fi, using our bodies as networks, straight up networks. We sleeping next to our cell phones. We're being radiated to death. We got acid in the rain now, GMO crops and foods. A lot of our foods is missing their minerals and electricity. So we are being dumbed down. So now, yes, we were gods in the flesh, but now we are very much human beings that's being controlled by the system. So now you're not in tune with that no more. How many people even still get gut feelings? We used to hear that all the time. Now, so many, look, Young Pharaoh said this in one of his lectures probably like 10 years ago. He said, he was talking about how we are so connected to the cosmos, and he was talking about the biosphere. Shouts out to Young Pharaoh. A lot of people don't give him credit. A lot of y'all learned from Young Pharaoh and don't want to give him credit. I learned a lot from Young Pharaoh 10 years ago when he was on and popping. So shouts out to Young Pharaoh. But look, it's a lecture he did so long ago, and he said something that had me bugging up. He said that animals are still connected to the biogrid of the earth. They're still sensitive. We see it happening right now, right? What's going on in Yellowstone Park? Hundreds of thousands of animals right now are just leaving. The birds left. Then all of the mammals left. The gazelles leaving. Now, what's all them big behemoth things? The bison. Now, hundreds of bisons leaving. So what the scientists said is one of the volcanoes is finna blow. Well, they said, well, how do you know that, Bob? He said, well, why are all the animals leaving? They know something that humans don't. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, why humans don't know that though? because we not tapped into the electrical magnetic grid of the earth no more, because we have rent the veil. The veil have been rent, meaning we used to have this connection to earth, but the food done dumbed us down. All the lies in the program done dumbed us down and diluted our spiritual bodies so much that we don't even know when a storm gonna come. If you looking up, the only way you can tell now if a cloud is over. And then now they messing with the clouds, they making it rain. Did you see Trump just trying to pass a bill now and said in certain countries they can't, certain states, they can't even use weather machines no more because it's causing so many flash flood warnings. So they are messing up things to the point where we don't even know where our spiritual bodies are no more. We're not connected to them like that no more. So now, then what I'm saying is, Ferry was just talking about when a storm come or when an earthquake finna come, you see the birds leave first. Then he said you see the mammals leave. He said then an earthquake hitting a tsunami come. He said the only thing you see is niggas floating around on playing that game and smoking the blunt, because during this time we think different. Birds leave, animals leave. A Negro, he say, look, before the storm come, I want to go to the liquor store, give me a bottle and give me some blunts. And then while he going to the liquor store to get his bottles and his blunts, he get caught up in that danger when he was supposed to sense and feel what was coming and leave. Just like we used to have that nature in us where we say, I got a gut feeling. No, spirit telling me don't go down that alley. Now we got these young brothers, they running down the alley to the trouble. So and all this come from us eating the wrong foods. All this come from us praying to the wrong deities. All this come from us not being regulated and holding on to trauma and being programmed by the world and not raising our children up in traditions. And that's what's happening. So yes, we have lost that sense. And that sense is part of something called biophotons. And guess where you can get a lot of these biophotons from? Your food. If you don't cook it, your food, if you don't cook it, will provide you with the biophotons that you need to regenerate your spiritual immune system.
Excellent, my brother. Let me ask you this, Yahki. We talked about maybe arguing with somebody, then eating, and the danger that imposes on your food and what happens to your body while you're eating the food. We spend a lot, and I'm glad I could talk to you about this. We talk a lot about certain times we should eat. So we say, we got terms like breakfast, and you should eat at probably about noontime and let your body digest your food. And then they say after 8 or 6 or when the sun goes down, you shouldn't eat. We're eating the people who are most health conscious. They eat based on time and the sun and the moon and things like that. What do you think about the idea, being that we said what we said, Yahki? What do you think about the idea on eating based on vibration? So let's say we're in and the reason why I asked that, and I'll give a quick example. When I'm in the studio, I make music, I'm a music producer. When we create a certain vibe in the studio, we create the best music. So me and Kambada be in the studio, and I like to stimulate the studio session with a conversation, and we'll just start talking. Then all of a sudden, next thing you know, we created a magnificent song. Do you think that we should eat based on vibration more than food? Where let's say it's 11 o'clock at night, but if I got a bomb conversation going on with Yahki and 10 other people in the mood, we just vibing. Should we eat at 11 o'clock, even though it's against the law? Again, to eat at 11 o'clock because the sun is down? No. How do you feel about eating based on vibration versus eating based on time of the day, my brother?
Well, you got to look at the laws of the universe. The laws of the universe do not change. And one of those laws of the universe that we're talking about is kinetic energy. And when you get real deep into kinetic energy, this also talks about something that you're speaking about, which is called the circadian rhythm. Every cell in your body have a biological clock, and that clock doesn't change for nobody. In fact, you can be on a biological clock and be here for so long, and then you can go across the world, and your body will still take a long time to adjust because your body was already in sync with the sun and the moon cycle on the other part of the earth. And what I mean by that is when the sun comes up, cortisol is high, no matter where you at. At 6 a.m. is when you get a cortisol spike. That's to wake you up, and that's to make you focus, right? And then cortisol starts wearing off around 12 noon. And around 12 noon, you have the highest gastric enzyme inside your stomach. Not only do you have the highest gastric enzyme levels in your stomach, and the hydrochloric acid is ready to actually break down food, but your receptors and your actual enzymes in your mouth are salivating at that time. And the sun is at its highest in the sky. That means your digestive fire is is the highest it can be. This is the time you choose to eat your heaviest meal. Then you start seeing that around 2 p.m., you get a little spark of melatonin because that's nap time. So it's time to take a nap, about 45 minutes to an hour. Then you start getting up at 4. You should have a bowel movement. Once you have that bowel movement, now grilling is moving again. Your stomach start growling. Now the sun is going to be on its way past the portal to go down. Your last meal should be right before 6. After that, now your body is going to do one more defecation, probably around 8:30, and then you should lay down. Now the issue is this. I get what you're saying. Eating with vibrations is a brilliant idea. And I'm not saying that it don't have some type of effect on the body, because that we know that mind and willpower do change and rule a lot of things. But it's certain laws of nature that if you break, you're going to have metabolic acidosis that happen. So for one, you're talking about the studio. We already in the studio with artificial lights. I'm in my studio right now and it's artificial lights. Right now, my body think that it's 12 noon. So automatically, I'm not going to start producing melatonin until I get home and lay down. So I might not get a melatonin dump until probably 1 in the morning. That's automatically finna keep me up a little bit later because the artificial lights is tricking me. Since the artificial lights is tricking me, cortisol is still in my blood right now. Melatonin is not in my blood right now. I got 3 big artificial suns sitting here. So now my body is in a state of fight or flight. Now, imagine if I choose to eat right now. When you in the state of fight or flight, norepinephrine, epinephrine, and adrenaline is in the bloodstream by way of the medulla of the adrenal glands, which is in control of the autonomic nervous system, the enteric nervous system, and the intrinsic nervous system, which is the gut brain. You in a state of fight or flight, you're not worried about eating. You see that? You worried about getting away from this lion, this tiger, or this bear. In this sense, my body is telling me to get away from these lights, because it sensed darkness, but why is these lights here? So it's tricking my biochemical clock. So what's happening is all the blood is leaving from my digestive system and it is going to my extremities, because intuitively I am in a state of fight or flight. So what's going to break down my food? Nothing. So all the food that was supposed to be aided towards digestion is towards the state of fight or flight. And then I just ate this food, right? Now the food, like, well, I need to digest the food, but I got to choose between metabolically breaking down my food or fight or flight. Remember, the cell is going to always choose survival over proliferation. So it's definitely not going to choose digestion. So you're going to start running. So you in this mental state of fight or flight, right? All because this artificial environment that you in. So now we leave this artificial environment. Now we finally where I can get melatonin. We finally in darkness. But damn, I just ate too late. So now, instead of that energy being used for sleeping and REM sleeping and visiting different realms of densities, learning from my ancestor and my higher self, right? This food is now have to break down. So now all the energy and all of that digestive fire got to focus on breaking down the food. Guess what happens between the hours of 1 and 6 a.m.? It's called autophagy. It is when the body breaks down. Well, autophagy stands for autophagy. Autos means self, and then phages means eating. So autophagy is when the cells literally go through cellular lysis and starts recycling cells, break down cells, and then you start excreting all these things when you get up in the morning. That's the reason why when you wake up in the rise, and the first thing you got to do is pee and poop if your digestive biological clock, or what you'll call your circadian rhythm, is at a balance of homeostasis. So just by eating that late for a vibe, now I get you, we spiritual people. But just by eating that late for the vibe, then threw off every physiological aspect of your body for the vibe. So now it's the thing, which is more important, the law of nature or the vibe? Now, me being brother to brother and being honest, sometimes the vibe is better than the law of nature, brother. Especially if you're gonna make a hit song that's gonna make you 10 million. There ain't nothing wrong. There ain't no wrong suffering 3 nights of being out of whack. But look, if you're doing this consecutively every single night, eventually, guess what happens? Diabetes mellitus. See that? Because now you are harming the enteric nervous system. Now the actual alpha and beta cells cannot produce insulin. You become insulin resistant. Now blood sugar stay in long. Plus, you are eating sugar that need to be broken down and metabolized at late at night. Your pancreas go to sleep at 4 o'clock. Pancreas going to sleep. You're not producing insulin, alpha cells and beta cells and simultostatin delta cells, and you're not producing all of that glycogen. You're not. So now you're getting fatty liver because all these sugars need to go somewhere. It can't stay in the blood too long. So the body's gonna push it to the liver. The liver's gonna turn it into fat, and it's gonna sit right on the liver. Now you got alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now you got diabetes mellitus, all because you are out of sync and out of rhythm with the laws of creation for a vibe. You see what I'm saying? So now you just gotta see. So now it's like my odds. You gotta weigh this in the balance. Now, which one is better? Which one can I be more beneficial with? Sticking to the laws of nature or sticking to my intuitive vibe? I say be balanced with them both. Because right now, the vibe was I'm supposed to be asleep right now. I'm in artificial light. But look, I'm willing to come teach the people. I'm willing to chop it up with my brother Rich. You know what I'm saying? We used to chop it up every day. We ain't chopped it up in a minute. So look, I'm willing to trick my nervous system and trick my circadian rhythm for the sake of the beneficial of the people. But would I do this every single day? Not only, no, hell no. So it's the balance.
Yahki, how do you balance the laws of nature with considering what you do for a living? And I'm talking about not just talking about financial wise, but your way of living, health wise, and what you just said with the circadian rhythm. Considering that you live in the Western Hemisphere where we have something called daylight saving times, how do you feel, my nigga, about daylight saving times and everything that you just said? All right.
So look, there's no such thing as daylight saving time. That only
but we follow it.
Yeah,
but we follow it.
Well, they follow it. See, luckily me, I got my own money. I'm well off. I got my own building. I do what I want to do when I want to do it. So, but I'm saying that to say this.
Yes, sir.
People follow it because they want to follow it. You don't have to follow all of these crazy rules. There's no such thing as no daylight saving times. They are changing the times to benefit them in the central banking system. That's where they can exploit you in your pockets. You don't have to follow that. So, you wake up when the sun rise, you rise. Yes, right? Sir. When the sun go down, you go down. Say yes, me, I'm writing another book right now. So I'll be up a little late, but guess what? Once I leave this studio, if I'm up till 2 a.m, I'm going to light a candle. I'm going to turn on my red light. So now that's less harmful to my nervous system than having artificial blue lights. So it's about being able, and the beautiful thing I love about so-called African Americans, we have high melanin content, and that gives us the ability to go through adaptation. We know how to adapt to survive, but I don't want you to take you knowing that you have the ability to adapt and survive to be just surviving your whole life and never feeling the livelihood or the vitality of thriving because you know that you do know how to survive. So I want you to try everything I'm saying. Get on Dr. Yahki's daily schedule. Get the book Healing the Illusion You Call Disease. Go straight to that section and try that actual schedule for 6 months. It'll change your life. And then after that, you can play with creation. I play with creation all the time. But I'm saying you ain't supposed to be right and wrong. You ain't supposed to be always wrongly harming your body. In the same way as what you're talking about. You going by these laws of nature 100% of the time, then you miss the intuitive vibe and you never create memorable moments. So I guess what I'm saying, Rich, balance is key, man. The scales, man. The scales. And that's what I do. So when I can sleep, I sleep. I just took a nap for the first time yesterday in probably about 4 months, which amazing, bro. You know what I'm saying? I love when I'm actually able to practice. You know what I'm saying? You see, I used to be last time we talked, I was a fat boy. You know what I'm saying? Look, so I lost all that weight. I had to start practicing what I teach. See that? So I'm a human too. I understand we say peace to the gods, but I have my human days. You know what I'm saying? I was eating poor vegan food at one point in my life. I was doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing in the name of veganism and all of that. But then it comes a point in time where you have to be exactly who you say you are. And I think as long as you doing that, whether that be in whatever impression it is, long as you're being exactly who you say you are, then you and universe gonna get along just well, and you and God gonna get along just well. So, man, balance. So whenever you catching that vibe, you got $1 million hit. Hey, I ain't gonna tell you to go to sleep at no 8 o'clock. Make that $1 million hit. Matter of fact, let me get the writing credits on that because I want my points when the check comes.
Oh, man. Yahki, there's so many things we hear about, and I don't want to keep you. We on here for about an hour and a half. Shout out to everybody. We got about 2,000 people in the chat. Just a couple of more questions, my brother. We talk about eating and certain things we should do while we're eating. What I want to ask you about, being in the spirituality, you hear about our body being antennas, and we're talking about technology, right? And we're talking about, we know with technology, if you were born in the 80s or 90s, you know about an antennas and the television antennas point a certain way, and they say our bodies is antennas,
Yeah.
and we're able, when we do mudras, to channel
Uh-huh.
certain energies. So we may do certain mudras to channel certain energies. What I want to ask about is, while we're eating, some cultures eat Indian style.
Yeah.
Um, I know when a woman gives birth, Yaki, they be like, "Don't lay it on your back." They you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. You're
I
supposed
know
to.
when we use the bathroom, Yaki, they say, "Why would we sit in the toilet? You're supposed to squat while you use the
Mhm,
bathroom." So there's
mhm.
so many things they say we do that we shouldn't do. I'm wondering, Yaki, is if I'm sitting on this chair and my body's on this angle, should I be sitting Indian style when I eat food, or is this sitting in this chair appropriate for me to eat? Because obviously it's inappropriate when I use the bathroom, and laying down is inappropriate when my woman gives birth. So I'm just trying to figure out how much I would be lied to, my brother. Talk to
Wow.
me.
Man, you be asking good stuff. That's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, every culture, other
Yes, sir.
than European culture, European constructs and concepts, sit on the ground when they eat. Not only,
Ooh, okay.
and they eat with their hands, they don't eat with forks and spoons and utensils. Not only do it strengthens the connection between you and your food, but it strengthens the connection between you and the ground. Sitting on the ground while you eating, we're gonna talk about the posture and sitting in Indian style, or what I'm gonna call African style, because that's where the Indians got that sitting from. But not only are you getting all the electrons from the earth, so you're getting rid of inflammation, you stimulating bile to come from the liver, help you break down your fats to create butyrate. You enhancing your digestive enzymes, and you're correcting your posture. You actually getting your stomach ready to ingest and digest that food. Now you getting all the electrons from the earth, and then you getting rid of all the protons, which is these proteins that's going to cause inflammation in the body, and you're bringing in the neutrons, or what we call the nutrients, to the body to help alkaline you. When you sit on the floor, anybody that believe in the law of gravity, a lot of people call it a lot of different things, but for people that can identify with gravity, when you sit on the ground, you change the position of gravity, and you put all of that focus on your digestive system as well. Now, when you talk about sitting in Indian style, we know that when you cross your hands or your legs, you actually connect both hemispheres of your brain. So now this is a total different type of energetic connection with you eating your food. And not only that, you got beautiful family members around, you giving affirmations, and you thanking the creator for this food, you eating with your hands, you creating and you're internalizing this beautiful personal experience with you and your food. So there's many benefits to sitting while eating, and eating with your hands, other than sitting up. Usually if you're sitting in a chair, your posture is wrong, your neck is down. I would hate that you got your phone in your hand, getting that bump on the back of your neck looking at your food, because now you're focusing on the phone and on social media, that your digestive enzymes is not even, the precursor is not even activated enough to break down the food, because you're doing so many things other than loving your family, communing with your family while you're eating your food. So there's a reason why ancient culture set on the ground. And what I mean by on the ground, I'm not talking about the new one where they mimic the ancient cultures and they sit on pillows inside of a house. It's best to eat outside in the sun, with the sun, on the ground, connecting to the ground, in what they would call Indian style, but I'm gonna call African style, because
Yeah.
it helps you aid digestion, not only of your physical food, but of the spiritual food as you communion with your family. And it is very, very, very horrible to eat alone. You shouldn't eat alone.
Oh, I was gonna ask you that. Oh, I'm glad you said that, my brother.
Mm.
Oh my God! Don't say it's bad to eat alone.
Man, I got a
Oh,
chapter in my book that talks about Look, brother, I got a chapter in my book that talks about the actual health risks of isolation, and how if you use it for medicinal purposes, it's good to grow. But if you spend your life in isolation, how depressing and how bad it is, how it mess up the cytokines that come from the actual kidneys. And man, look, matter of fact, if you look at most of your kidney failure patients, or look at most of your kidney and diabetes mellitus patients, they suffer from psychotic isolation, where they just feel so lonely. And all of these different enzymes and all of these different chemical reactions is just throwing them into a state of fight or flight where their body just do not detoxify naturally no more. And you literally gotta give them colonics, you gotta clean their blood, keep them on blood thinners, you gotta do everything. And the only thing they missing is just a loved one, somebody to talk to them. And that's why it's very, very important. If you see somebody eating by themselves, I take the initiative now. Do you mind if I come sit by you? And look, you probably make some of the best connections ever. If the person say no, then cool. That means see that you're using your isolation for medicinal purposes. But if you just alone and don't have no, that is the worst. That is worse than death to be alone. I have scientific papers and research showing the health risk of being in isolation too long. It is crazy. And that's the reason why you see people in the penitentiary suffer from so many health issues, especially the ones that's in solitary confinement for so long. Notice all of them are diabetic, all of them are insulin resistant, all of them are on units of actual insulin a day. A lot of them are in there dying of heart attacks and strokes. And look, this is common knowledge. All you have to do is look this stuff up. So yes, eating with somebody is more beneficial than eating by yourself, because we are tribal people and we need that communion. We need that community. And cooking with your significant other is amazing too. They were just talking about how a man leave from work from providing and come home, and when he hug his wife and children, 60% of his stressors leave immediately. Just by seeing and hugging your wife and your children, when you've been stressed out in the world providing for your family, you fighting against the world, you come home to your beautiful wife and children, and 60% of your stress hormones
Yeah.
and chemicals leave immediately. So this just shows you being in love and being in a family structure keep you away from illness.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is beautiful.
And I challenge everybody on this chat.
Yeah.
Look up everything I am saying. Please do the research for yourself, and most importantly, do the experience. And experience yourself and do the experiment yourself. Apply, make this knowledge applicable. Otherwise, I'm just sitting up here being a talking encyclopedia, which don't do me or you no good.
Hey, one of the things I learned in spirituality that I'm studying now, Yahki, is the importance of sacred geometry and how that's the backdrop of what we call reality. And everything that we see is sacred geometry, and we appreciate it, and it does something to ourselves. What I want to ask you is, in terms of food, I know that some people just makes regular plates of food. And then the most expensive restaurants, Yahki, are you listening to me? The most expensive restaurants, they be having their food arranged in a certain way. They be looking fancy. You be like, is this art or is this food? Like this should be looking like amazing.
Yeah.
What is the impact on arranging your food on your plate in a sacred geometrical pattern? Because I want to ask that to end this question. The most expensive restaurants specialize in that.
Yeah. So it makes it attractive for one, because our subconscious mind adhere to mathematics, and mathematics is sacred geometry. For two, or for second, it speaks to our body in a total different language. It's even like that not only with food, but it's like that from your furniture and your declarations in your house. In certain terminologies in certain culture, they call it feng shui. I forgot the African terminology for it, but it is an actual word for that. Even looking at your background of your room, you have all these different circles on top of circles. Then you have the clock. You have all this synergy going on in your room. This is widely known that you can set a room up in certain type of way that have frequency bounce off of corners in certain type of ways that give you stimuli. Same thing with your food. If your food looks a certain way and it's attractive to the subconscious mind because the way that it's plated, it makes it not only more palatable for you, like it gets your digestive enzymes going, but it makes you want to dig in and it makes you want to eat the whole thing. So now it kind of psych you out, because now you're buying not because it tastes good, but because it look good. And now brothers, in the sense, that can be bad in the sense, because everything that glitter ain't gold. But it just speaks to your subconscious mind, because our subconscious mind is linguistic and mathematics. You know, when you look at spirit, spirit is mathematics. When you look at the creation of earth, the golden ratio, all these things are mathematics. So when you look at something that have these sacred geometrical shapes, it's speaking not only to your physical body, but it's speaking to your subconscious mind. It's speaking to nefesh, neshama, and it's speaking about soul, which is your heart, your mind, and your body. And what that does is, again, it makes it more of a intimate interaction between you and your food. And they don't only now look, this is a positive side of food. What about the negative side where you start having foods shaped like sexual organs, or you use certain foods and you associate them with pedophilia, or you start calling things Pizzagate. You start getting into grown adults doing things that's unbearable and so sinful to children. And then you start looking at the food like hot dogs and Snickers and how they mimic certain points of a male organ, a reproductive organ. So, you know, you speaking about the actual good side of this, but what about the bad? And now we have something that we can like really separate and be like, hold on, maybe I don't need to be associating this with that, because subconsciously I'm looking at this like that. Like for instance, Mickey Mouse commercials and the thing. A lot of Mickey Mouse got sued because the creator that was drawing them was literally using reproductive organs to make all of the characters. Have you seen that, Rich?
Yo, you know what? I
Huh?
heard of that. I didn't know it was true.
Oh man, that's true, man. So the author was using all of the characters and he was drawing penises. Then off the penis, he'd draw the ears and then draw the nose and the mouth. He was drawing vaginas, and off of that, he'd draw the shoulders. He'd draw a breast, and then off of that, the nipple would be an eye, and then he'll create another eye. So, you know, to the naked eye, you just seeing characters, but to the subconscious mind, it is feeding your animalistic sexual lower nature. You see what I'm saying? Same thing with the food. So everything we talking is about shapes. It's about geometry, sacred geometry. It's about tones. It's about sound. It's about lights, photons, vibration, and frequency. And that's all these shapes is. Even when you get into Gamori work, notice when somebody's doing root work and a Gamori work, they draw in circles and to manifest. You can use that to pull in different things from other
Great point.
realities and,
Great point.
and everything. So, you know, these shapes that mimic the blueprint to life actually connect you to the spiritual realm. And it goes back to what we've been saying this whole transmission. Everything is spiritual. You can't separate them, brother. So yeah, that's how they get you, man. Look, I was talking to 19 Keys about something the other day, man. Do
Yeah.
you know they got something called palatable acoustics? Look
No,
up this word,
no.
y'all. It's called palatable acoustics. And what the scientists did was they have figured out the frequency crunch to a potato chip in certain fries that they make for companies like big food companies to make you keep buying it, because it has a certain tonation and a certain sound that sends off the reward center and dopamine when you chew it. The acoustic sound of smacking on a piece of gum, or the acoustic sound of your palate chewing and chomping down on a chip, send something to the reward center to tell you that it tastes so good, but you just not filled enough. And you go and you keep buying the same thing over and over again. And since since it's calorically stripped of all the nutrients, you never get hungry, so you continue to buy it. So how they tapped into the subconscious mind of that, they did the same thing with with the sacred geometry of plating the food, you know, making it look good. And sometimes it don't taste good, but they'll charge you $300 for a ribeye steak and
Exactly.
mashed potatoes, and they'll just put a pile of mashed potatoes that's shaped like a pyramid and one piece of asparagus in the middle of it. You done
Exactly.
associated with a damn pyramid because you from the pyramid, and you like, I feel an ancestral connection with my food. So you spend $300.
Oh man.
Hey man, it's crazy. Look, this is more of spiritual warfare than what we think. We not only under physical attack, chemical attack, toxicity attack, but we are on a psychological, spiritual attack as well. And you know, the scripture tell us that it is evil that's lurking in high places, man. And that's very, very real, man. It's very real. Whether you believe in the biblical sense of that or not, you can't knock what we are going through as a people and what this country is going through as a whole. There are evil people out here doing evil things. And I just thank God for transmissions and channels like this that allow light workers to come on here and speak not only truth, but to show that they're still warriors, that's sons and daughters of light, willing to stand up to darkness no matter what the cost is.
Indeed, my brother. Indeed. Yaki, when we, since we're merging spirituality with the health community, when we feel a certain way, Yaki, we may dress a certain way. And when
Yes.
we dress a certain way, our colors may reflect how
Come
we
on now.
feel.
Come on now.
So red, yellow, orange, green
Come
may
on.
reflect how we feel.
Come on, Rich.
So let's say outside of the intellectualism, I just feel a certain way, Yaki. So I'm gonna wear yellow on that day. So I'm like, yo, I'm not trying to intellectualize it, but I'm just like, yo, I'm in my closet and I'm like, yo, man, I'm gonna wear yellow. Wear my yellow. I want to wear yellow and green. I want to, I'm gonna wear this and that. And I get dressed and I'm looking dope. I got on yellow. The one question I want to ask you, my brother, should my food match the colors that I'm wearing? Because that completes the whole outfit. The food is part of the outfit, my brother. The outfit don't end with the clothes. The outfit extends to the food. like,
Rich,
like,
man, your ass is crazy, man. I love it. Who
go
even
ahead, brother.
thinking stuff like only person that thinking stuff like this is Rich, man.
Thank you, my brother. Thank
But
you.
but look, I
Yes,
say this. we we got to talk about color therapy. Color therapy is
sir.
real and it exists. We have to talk about the spectrum. These colors will comes with certain hertz and frequencies to them. The first thing you have to ask yourself when you get up and you choose the color, why did you choose that color? And that's what we need to start doing because we need to start getting to know ourselves more on a personal and spiritual level. Why did I want to wear red today? Why did I want to wear yellow today? And then you have to learn the colors. Red is always associated with reproductive energy. That's why if you see somebody's rewarding somebody like a significant other on Valentine's Day, it's usually a box of chocolate that's in a red box. Or if she's going to make love to you, she usually is in red lingerie. A woman at the club that wanted to turn the club out and have all the men go to her, she usually wear red pumps to get you sexually, intimate with your food. McDonald's use the red fry box. Not only that, they use, the red manager shirts. And then even on they logo, they got red embedded with gold. All of these psychologically creates this lust connection for you and your significant other and for you and your food. So when you look at red, the red actually represents root chakra. That's what I'll call it, right? Then you start looking at yellow. Yellow represents the solar plexus or represents the gut. In fact, in the gut, you have something called bile, which give off a yellow hue. And that bile is used to detoxify your body. But not only that, that yellow substance or that yellow color matches the same frequency as intellect and memory. And that's the reason why if you want to highlight something, you use a yellow highlighter to memorize. If you want to write something down on a note, you use a yellow notepad to memorize. When you go to school to learn information, you get on a yellow school bus. Oshun, the god Oshun, is known for her yellow color because she gives intellect from the theme of Mayim, or what you will call water. So even when you get into that, so yellow represents the intellectual properties of man. Then when you get to blue, blue represents the common effect. We call that the peaceful effect. If you want peace, put blue in a room. If you want to calm, if you own a sane asylum, paint the walls blue. You calm down psychological episodes. This is known. You can look it up for facts. Matter of fact, if they want to create a brochure to get you on a cruise ship, right? They take you on a cruise. 9 times out of 10, the infomercial, the commercial, and the brochure is going to have the blue ocean, the blue seas. The sky is going to look the clearest. It's going to be cloudless with the most blue because that centers you and it grounds you back to earth. So now you're going to buy because you feeling that peace and you think the only way you can get that peace is by going to get on the boat. Then you have to associate that blue with calmness and stillness. Same thing for purple. Purple represents royalty. So when you wear purple, especially when you wear purple that's in linen and wool, because we know that different fabrics and clothes come with certain frequencies, like linen and linen and cotton. Cotton is about 100% hertz, but when you look at linen and wool is 5,000 hertz. So now you raising your vitality, you raising your electrical grid of the body, and you got the color to match that, so you feel like royalty. So when you look at most royal palaces and royal kings and queens, notice their crown is made with the cloth of purple. They call it the scarlet robe. So these things exist. Same thing for your food. Now I'm saying all that to bring it back to your food. Most of your food colors do something different to the body. Most of your yellow foods are actually acidic in nature. And I'm not talking about acidic in a bad way. I'm talking about acidic as in citric acid acidic, or what you will actually call things like grapefruits, things like lemons, things like your things like your yellow eggplants, things like that. I mean, yellow squashes. These things have more of a citric type of taste to it that boosts immunity than things that are white, like your white onions and things like that. Guess what that do? That's the precursors to your neutrophils. And it makes sense because your neutrophils are part of the white blood cells. So now you starting to associate the white with purification. Now, what the Europeans have done, they took this white and they have matched it to them, but I've never seen a white European in my life, because white is the color of this piece of paper, or white is the color of this tissue. You see what I'm saying? Same thing when you start getting to purple and you start getting the red. Purple represents anthocyanin, just like dark blue. Anthocyanin come from cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria is matching the same frequency as iron phosphate. You see that? So if you're not bringing in enough purple and blue, you're not bringing in enough iron, then you're going to have an anthocyanin problem. Guess what anthocyanin bacteria does? It brings in anthocyanin, which is this melanin component to help protect your actual melanin that you get from dark grapes, that you get from all of these purple colors. Same thing as red. Red actually represents and mimics the frequency of copper. That's why your blood is red, because you mixing your blues and you mixing your other colors together and your whites with your white blood. Look, when you actually take the frequency and you mix these precious metals with oxygen, that's what creates the red blood. It's a frequency exchange that's happening there. So when you look at iron, automatically associated with blue. When you look at copper, automatically associated with red. Same thing with your food. So if you look at your food and you start seeing green and you start seeing red, automatically associated, okay, these are blood cleansers. Not only these are blood cleansers, these are oxygenators. When you look at anthocyanins, automatically look at that purple color, think royalty, a way of thinking. Oh, this is good for antioxidants. This is going to cleanse my brain. When you look at white and you look at yellow, automatically think this is going to help build or boost my immune system and open up my lymphatic system to get rid of toxins. So yes, color therapy exists. All colors come with frequencies, and these frequencies can be mixed and matched with each other to have different types of physiological aspects on the body, or movement on the body, should I say. So yes, it is very, very, very good that we have rainbow plates. Mix every color and put it on your plate. That way you are eating every different frequency, and these frequencies do different things to the body, and it goes back to the herbs, or the herbs really healing, or the herbs coming with a certain frequency that's having a detoxification response on the body. You getting rid of the metabolic acidosis, the low frequencies of what you would call metabolic byproducts, and then you feel better. See, it's all this is talking about. At the end of the day, Rich, we talking about spirituality. We talking about frequency. We talking about hertz. We talking about biophotons. We talking about something that you cannot see. But just because you can't see it, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a physical impact on your body.
Yahki, what would be the difference? We heard of Dr. Emoto's experiments with water,
Uh-huh.
and him talking to water.
Uh-huh.
What would be the difference, Yahki? Water is a very important topic. We keep talking about the best water to buy, the most alkaline water to buy. You've talked about fruit water versus regular water, things of that nature.
Mhm.
I want to ask you, my brother, what is the difference? We have these two entities. We have a sun that a lot of people consider masculine, and we have a moon that a lot of people consider feminine. What will be the difference if Brother Yahki for a year, 365 days or whatever? I don't want to get caught up in the time, but if you drink moon water for a certain extended period of time, and that same water, you drink sun water for a certain period of time. Since one is considered feminine and one is considered masculine, what will be the difference in Yahki's behavior and his body if he drinks moon water versus sun water, my brother?
I think it'd be different psychological masculine and feminine aspects that I will portray to the people more. If you look
Okay.
at the moon governs water. The moon governs a woman menstrual cycle. That's why, if you look at the moon, they say that the moon is what creates the tides and the in and outing of the oceans and the lakes. And they say that the sun, is what gives you serotonin. The sun is what opens up dopamine for you. The sun is what gives all creation life and motion and signals. It's very, very masculine. I would say that water is very neutral. So I'll say that the sun is masculine, the moon is feminine, and water is neutral. And that's the reason why water can take the shape of anything. That's why you can speak to water, and water will take a literal photographic memory of it. It's people that put their face in water and then freeze the water that they put their face in, and they face literally freeze in the water. It's people that talk to their water and say certain words, and these words literally freeze in the water. There's so many experiments done on this. So if we can do that on the very minute level of us just being small energetic beings, imagine what the sun and the moon can do. So I believe if you put water under the moon and then you drink that for a certain amount of time, I think more of your creative energy you would start, because your creative side is your feminine side. I think you would start having more creativity. I think you would dive deep into more of your rhythm, because that's more feminine. I think you would dive deep into your caregiver, your nurturing spirit. And then with the sun gives you strength. See, the moon is the nurturer, the sun gives you strength. I think if you drink sun water, which is what I drink a whole lot, it'll give you more of that warrior mentality, basically attacking jobs and getting things done, being more logical, being more precise, more in the providing mode. So, that's a beautiful question you ask, and I can actually see that happening. So I think I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to take what you just asked, that question, and apply it to see what happens. But I can bet my bottom dollar that's what will end up happening, because we can't act like that the moon and sun does not govern psychology, because it do. And I talk about the Alaska experiment all the time, where people in Alaska, they see 6 months of light and then 6 months of darkness. And during that 6 months of light, they're reproducing. The suicidal rate is down. Domestic violence is low. The economy is booming. They get more visitors. But then during that 6 months of darkness, uh, the drug related deaths go up, suicidal deaths go up, murders go up, unemployment go up, uneducation go. I mean, diseducated people start unlearning. So if
Mhm.
so, we can't sit up here and act like that we are not mentally and spiritually governed by the sun and moon, because we are. But
Mhm.
you have to create balance too. You don't want to live your life based off of that either, because that means now every zodiac house you're being controlled by, instead of
Right.
using it as signs and using it as seasons to be intuitive or have spiritual discernment to make certain decisions on how to move or not. So don't turn it into your god. Turn it into your guide.
Yo, Yahki, I love that. Don't turn astrology into your god. Turn it into your guide. Oh, I wish a lot of y'all really understood and follow that. Oh my God, that is beautiful. And I talk to King Simon all about that a lot, because he's into numerology, and I tell him about numerology being my guide and
Mhm.
basically not my God. So I'm glad that you said that, brother. Like, we really need to use these systems for our guide, not our God.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
spiritual tools, man. And whenever you having an issue and you need to patch up a wall or you need to change a
yeah,
spiritual tire, you reach in your spiritual tool bag. But if you don't, if your spiritual tire is not blown out, then why are you looking for something to break a lug nut? So keep them on you and use it when need be. But that don't mean that you finna have a tire blowout while you're on your way to your new destination. That don't determine it. But if you do, you can use those as spiritual tools to change the tire. So, they are tools that you keep on you, but they are not your God though. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's to make way for preparation. Just like you got to prepare for famine, you have to prepare for war, you got to prepare for spiritual battle too. And I think those are good tools to utilize, but never use it as your God. You don't wake up and check your zodiac sign and say, this is going to be my day. Because you being God over your body, you just manifested what your day is going to be. So you gave the zodiac power. The zodiac didn't give you the power.
Yaki. We talked about the whole African American experience, not in thorough, but we talked about
Mhm.
the difference between, whatever. Something I experienced when I was young, that I guess I kind of like thought about, but I didn't think about. And I'm like, well, Yaki's here. Let me ask him about that. And what made me want to ask you this question, Yaki, you was on I watched the interview with you last night. I got to New York and I'm like, I like to connect with somebody's energy before I interview them. That way, even if I don't have questions, my soul got a connection to your information that will just cause downloads to happen while I'm interviewing you. And you were with I guess you would say a Caucasian female. And you were talking about how your evolution of who you are as a teacher, what we talked about earlier, and you talked about how I guess certain cultures they were eating rotten meat
Yes.
to heal themselves.
Man, they were eating rotten shark meat, yeah.
To heal themselves.
And look, it worked. And
So
they what
that's
they did,
something. So
oh yeah,
listen, Yaki, like that's something that we would be like, oh my God, hell no, that's impossible. Like in our mind, based on whoever we were taught in the vegan community, we would think that's absolutely nonsense. But for you to even say that, this is what I'm talking about when I say the evolution of Yaki, and you are willing to say certain things that I guess people in your field aren't willing to say. What I want to ask you about is not only that, but I remember when I was young that my grandmother, just the African American experience. I don't know if other communities experience this. I would love for you to chime in on this. I remember if there was like a stale piece of bread, the bread was out too long and it's stale and got mold on it. She would take it. She'd be like, "Don't throw it out," and she would make bread pudding with it. And when
yeah.
I got older, I'm like, the
You
fuck
know
was
what
she
you
trying
put?
to poison me?
Yeah,
What
you
the
know what you
fuck?
started?
I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, how do you take something that's moldy or whatever, and then you make something, and then you
Well,
feed it to children, and then
well.
I still don't understand it to that day. But
So,
when you said that, it triggered me, my brother. So
so
I
I got
want
a
to
question
bring
for you,
that.
Rick. I got a question for you. What
Yes, sir.
is matter of fact? Question for the chat.
Yes, sir.
Question for the chat. Let's see if they can
Yeah.
answer it quick live. Give me the first 5 people that answer this. I want to know they answer the first 5.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
What is antibiotics made out of, y'all? Give me the first 5 answers. Let's see
Uh-oh.
what is the derivative of antibiotics? What are they made out of?
I'm gonna I know King Salmon said they do that in the Caribbean. Okay. Somebody said
I got a point here.
mold. Somebody said mold.
Ah,
They're saying
mold.
mold.
So
They're
so
saying mold.
most so look,
They're saying mold.
99% of your antibiotics are
Yeah.
actually mold derivatives with natural probiotics on them. So that
Right.
stale piece of bread, that stale
Yeah.
piece of bread was acting as an antibiotic and a probiotic plus a prebiotic because it had fiber in it at the same time. So and he said that right. A lot of people in the islands and a lot of people in the Caribbeans do that. Now, who else do that is the European, but they do molded cheese with wine. And
Oh.
the reason why they mix and they most delicate cheese is the moldiest because that is a actual antibiotic, and then they use the fermentation of the wine for the actual prebiotic, and then they do mold cheese and bread for the fiber, which is the prebiotic. I mean, then you got the probiotic, and then you have the postbiotic. And
Mm.
so every culture do something different. Like for instance, the Chinese, whenever the Chinese eat anything, they automatically add ginger to it to help aid in digestion. So if they gonna eat something that they know is gonna give them an upset gut, they will add ginger to the plate. Add ginger to the plate to help aid digestion. Same thing with the other cultures and like the Caribbeans that do the molded bread. So your grandma was just on to some old traditions that actually worked back then. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it. A piece of bread is fiber, right? The fiber starts molding. That mold is a building cultural bacteria. That's a prebiotic. Then the culture builds to the point where it kills other unlikely fungi and mold, which is called a what? Antibiotic. So you got a prebiotic, postbiotic, antibiotic, and a probiotic all in one piece of bread. And then you can make a pudding or something out of that, and it does the body good. But now we're in a time where, intelligence and just a different way of doing things is more widely available, that we don't necessarily have to do stuff like that no more. But most of your antibiotics, if not all, was made from mold, and this is facts proven. And antibiotics do work. Now Do they have long lasting effects on the body? Yes, they do. They can actually cause too many people that get them, your microbiome become persistent and become resistant to them. And this can actually trigger cancer, or what I'm going to call a detox mechanism later on down the line. But if you do natural antibiotics safely, natural, and make them yourself, which you can do that with garlic, you can do that with apple cider vinegar, you can cut you up some cloves, you can put it all in a bottle, shake it up real good, cilantro leaf, parsley, you shake it, you put it in the cabinet for 3 months, and you take a teaspoon every day. Same thing that your grandmother basically did. She just did it with bread. You would never get sick in your life, man. So I mean, these are facts. It's just there's many. What I'm learning and what I've been learning, just like you listened to that video with me and Miss Berry, there are many different mechanisms and many different paths to healing, and everybody ain't got all the answers. And the person that's acting like they do, family, look at me, run away from them. If they are teaching like they are right, if they are teaching against another teacher like the other teacher is wrong,
Right.
look, run away from them, because that's the real planted agent. They are here to cause confusion, and they don't really want true knowledge to go forth. Because if you are humble and you're teaching true knowledge, you would say off back that you don't know every damn thing at all. And I'm gonna say that I don't know. I'm still learning. New things blow my mind till this day. And I have literally clinically detoxified over 150,000 people in my career. I have a 18,000 square foot healing facility. I have a 10-acre land that grow my own food. I have my own laboratory in Texas right now, accredited. Like, we really are doing the work, and I'm still learning. I have a microbiology room with microscopes that's over $150,000, custom made just for me.
Talk to him.
And I'm sitting here telling you that I do not know it all. I have over 3 honorary doctorates given to me by some of the most prestigious colleges in the United States right now. I have certifications in biochemistry, certifications in nutrition. Well, you can see this. All you got to do is look at my book signing thing. My book reveal. I show I got all of these certifications, have all this stuff that made millions of dollars doing what I do and having fun while doing it. And I can still say, I know nothing at all. I know nothing. I'm learning every day. It blew my mind to see whale blubber meat heal people, Rich. That totally
blubber meat.
Rotten whale blubber meat. I said, ooh wee, I gotta change. It blew my mind. It blew my mind when I seen that the mitochondria rather eat fat than eat other things. I had to break down. I'm like, hold on, is it fat from meat? Then I realized, it's 2 different types of fat. It's fat that comes from ketogenic plant-based that is very good for so-called African Americans. Then it's carnivore fat that come from animal-based products that Europeans thrive off of, but yet and still it's fat. Because I was pushing the sugar diet, fructose diet. So this is what I'm saying. Information evolved, information changed. The best diet that any so-called African American can eat is a plant-based diet. I do not push the veganism diet anymore because they have become very unhealthy. I'm talking about the Edenic diet that started from the beginning, where the creator said, I have given you every fruit yielding seed after its kind. The fruit yielding seed shall be for you meat. That is the true meat, the flesh of fruits. The flesh of fruit. So the best diet anybody can be on is fruit, vegetables, herbs, a little nuts, and some grains. And that's what I seen so-called African Americans thrive off of the best. But I will be a liar if I sit here and say that other different people, like European people, can't survive and thrive off of carnivore meat diets, because they do. We just don't. So it's different strokes for different folks. We all don't have the answers. That's the whole point of being an intellectual, traveling the world, sitting down with different cultures and ethnicities and seeing what works for their community or not, taking that information, bringing bits and pieces back to your community, and then creating its own supercomputer where we can revamp our culture and revamp our community. The moment that you think you know everything, you limit yourself and you make yourself look like a damn fool.
A couple of more questions, Yahki. I want to ask you, Dr. Yahki, I want to ask you, what, and we talk about different communities, right? And one thing I noticed because I study every community has information to offer. Shout out to every community in the world. One thing I noticed is that other communities during the whole, and you know when the channels were getting taken down and struck with the whole the Jabberwocky and that whole thing that
Yeah,
was going on in
yeah,
2020. Certain communities, let's just say dominant culture, were embracing the patches, nicotine patches.
yeah,
It's like you don't want to get this. Instead of taking the Jabberwocky, put on this nicotine patch, mother
yeah,
effer.
yeah.
And but our community, we that was so far removed from where we was at mentally. I don't even think it trickled down to our community about nicotine patches. What
Well,
I
but
want to ask you about is that African American, the indigenous culture in America, we were always into nicotine. And what is the benefit that other cultures see in nicotine and why they were using that during 2020?
uh-huh.
And what's the benefit of that, my brother?
Well, this
Because
is
that's
this
been
is
taken away from
factual.
us.
You can look this up.
Yeah.
Nicotine open up biological detoxification pathways, and it is known for its binding effect on other chemistry and proteins, especially proteins like the spike protein. Spike proteins is actually was given to a lot of people with the Jabberwocky. So they use nicotine to be a binder and and to be a limited factor to spike protein, because when you wear the nicotine pack and then the nicotine is released inside the blood protein, it binds the receptors. It binds so good because you're dealing with cations and anions, negative and positives. You know, magnetism they attract, and it remove it out of the body due to detoxification pathways. This has been known and it's been seen. But if you are scared of nicotine, which a bunch of our people are skeptical about, and is, because I'm not going to do a nicotine patch, but I'm not going to get the Jabberwocky either. But if you have, there's many other different ways to cleanse yourself as well. You know, natural blood cleansers, natural tannins, grapes, anthocyanins, heavy metal detoxifications, high in cilantro and parsley to open up the kidneys. It's so many different things that you can do. But we will, again, we'll be fools to sit here and say that that information didn't work. So, yes, find herbs, right? And find different substances that have natural nicotine in it, because nicotine is natural. It is, but they, you know, when you synthesize it and make chemicals out of it, it can be a bad thing. And you can do that, and it literally will bind to spike protein and open up elimination pathways like NRF2 pathways, the same way sulforaphane and glucoraphanin do from certain vegetables. And your liver and your body will detox it. A lot of them was doing a lot of the Europeans was doing the nicotine patches, doing heavy metal detoxes, and then they was doing cold therapy, cold plunge therapies, and immediately go to the sauna. And I'm talking about within 30 days, the spike protein was gone from their bodies. And you can check the spike protein just by putting a piece of drop of your blood from the capillaries on a microscope slide and putting it under the microscope. And it'll show you these echinocytes and these rouleaux and these spike proteins. You can see them and you can watch them disperse and eliminate when you do that. So again, that's another thing where we just, you know, we have to start experimenting on ourselves, and we have to experience before we start judging. And once we get out of that judgmental mindset, like we know every damn thing, I promise you, we will grow and expand as a culture.
Excellent, excellent, my brother. Let's take about two questions from the family before we get out of here, family. Oh man, what a great show, right, y'all? Let's take this first question. Yaki, what do you eat for dinner? Oh my god, what do you eat for dinner, my brother?
Uh,
Yeah.
man, if y'all want to see what I literally eat every single day, I did an interview with Julian Berry. Y'all go watch that. I literally put what I eat every day. Every now and then I play with creation, I play with different things. But currently, right now, I'm 5'6", I'm 150 pounds. Every single day, my first meal is always at 12. I try to, sometimes a little later. I never eat before 12. And my first meal is always a dragon fruit bowl with no granola, always. So what I can do is I can tell you what I don't eat. I don't eat bread. I don't eat rice, right? I don't eat grains. The only technical grain I will eat is what they'll call quinoa, but quinoa is not a grain, it's a fruit, part of the Caryopsis family when you get into nutrition. But you know, most of all, I'm a frugivore. So a typical day of eating for me would be a dragon fruit or acai bowl around 12 noon, and then around between 4 to 6, I eat me another meal, and usually it's gonna have some type of quinoa, some type of chickpea. What else not be? For real, that's it, man. I eat yeah, that's it. And then I just flew in Tommy the mushroom guy. I love me some mushrooms here or there. He just made me some amazing lion mane mushroom uh in Florida. But I eat fruits and vegetables, but my diet literally consists of 90% fruit and 10% vegetables, and that's the honest to God truth, and that's why I've been able to maintain this body size for so long now, because I literally don't eat nothing. I don't eat no fried food. I'm not cooking in no oil, but coconut oil, which have natural linolenic how you say it, monolauric acid in it, which is amazing. Monolauric acid is amazing for the body, and olive oil. And I use that for pan searing or putting it on my food. I don't fry my food at all. I eat a lot of raw food. Uh, and I don't eat. I mean, I eat. I'm a frugivore. I'm a frugivore in nature, man. I'm a frugivore. 90% fruit, and then out of the 90%, I do half and half raw. The way I get all my living enzymes, and then I denature it by cooking some of them for my taste, man. And that's it. So, my book though, Healing Illusion, We Got Disease, have my whole diet program in there, and Dr. Yaki's daily schedule, which is changing the world. But RYMC +8, that's what I eat. So I don't eat no bread. I don't eat no type of, I mean, any type of processed food. I don't eat. If I'm going to if I eat processed food, it's food that I process myself by cooking it. Seriously. If it got more than 2 things on the label, I will not put it in my mouth. And I stay away from bread, of course. Technically, if I didn't eat honey, because I love honey, Manuka honey, I would call myself a vegan, but I can't technically call myself a vegan because I do eat honey. Other than that, I'm strictly plant based. I would never eat milk. I would never drink. I would never drink milk. I would never eat meat. I don't eat cheese. I don't do dairy. I don't do breads. I don't do grain. I don't do none of that stuff. Like, I'm a very simple eater, but my seasoning game is off the chain. So don't think I'm just eating boring food. Like, I make it happen now. I make it happen. I'm just saying, matter of fact, you know what I'm gonna do? Me and you, Rich, let's do this. Our next episode, let me be live in the kitchen and we can talk about the food while cooking.
When we gonna do that?
You give me the get with Nabi, give me the date, and we can hook it up.
Oh man, I'm gonna love that.
We can do it next month sometime. Let's do it next month.
I'm gonna love that, my brother. I'm gonna love that.
And while I'm cooking the food, I will talk about all the nutritional values in the food, what the food do to you, everything. And I'm so real with it. I will even talk about how the food that I'm cooking and the way I'm cooking it could slightly be harmful. See, that you got to keep it real all across the board. Otherwise, you can't call yourself Rofe. You can't call yourself a doctor, or you can't say that you are a facilitator of healing, because healing is about being truthful with yourself first and then with your people.
Man, oh man. Listen, I love it. I know you're not on YouTube like that, my brother. So I appreciate so much for you coming on the channel. We don't, we don't see you in the YouTube community like that. So
I just got another channel up. It's called Healing the Illusion. Healing the Illusion. Healing the Illusion. I just made it probably like a week ago. So y'all get on there, grab them videos, share them, strip them, reuse them. Just make sure you give me the credit before they take that one down. But I didn't use my name because I know as soon as they seen Yahki somewhere, they were going to try to strip it. So it's called Healing the Illusion. It's named after my book, Healing the Illusion We Call Disease. So Healing the Illusion, that's my actual channel.
Indeed. Amazing. And like I said, because the brother's into what he's into, I feel like that plays a major part. The thing Kanye was talking about, the thing Kanye got banned about, this whole Hebrew thing, I feel like, that's a major aspect of who we are as a people. And when you got that much influence, they're like, shit, and he's into that. Like, man.
Well, see, Hebrew is something that I can't be into. I am Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? I need Ibrit. I am Hebrew.
Thank you.
It's my bloodline. It's my heritage. It's all of that. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm proud to be Hebrew. I'm not one of the brothers that's on street corners spitting on anybody, saying white devil, making people kiss my feet or nothing like that. But I am practicing my culture. It is my spirituality, and I'm able to be intelligent and be smart and still practice. This is a great discipline. It's good for my household. It works for me. It might not work for you, and that's cool. I don't judge you. It's still all love and it's still peace. Long as you not trying to harm me and it don't go against my morals in my household, look, I'm good with everybody. I'm not here for the I'm just so past that. I'm so past beefing with people. I'm past debating doctrine. Is many ways to get to a final destination, and I'll be a liar, and I'll be a liar if it said that there's not other practices and other cultural religious practice. Like the Muslim practice is one of the dopest discipline practices in the world to me. It is the how disciplined they is, the orders they give, the way they dress. Everybody formal. I can even go to the Indian tradition and religion. It's things from there that is dope to me. So, I'm not here knocking nobody, but I am Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? I am. I believe in the God of Israel. Yes, I do. And if anybody got a problem with that, I love you anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm here to help facilitate and serve my people. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's how you know if somebody is really into religion or somebody is using spiritual practices of their culture to help elevate and lift their consciousness, because they gonna lead and show you with love. They ain't gonna be judging you, talking about you. It ain't gonna be no gossiping. They ain't gonna be putting you down, calling you dumb or nothing like that. I still do my practices. I still am me. I celebrate Shabbat, all of that. But I can sit down and chop it up with anybody that believe anything and hold my conversation, and they will get value in what I'm saying. And that's because I'm not sitting down with a limited, closed mind. I'm an open-minded man that's trying to figure out life just like everybody else. And the only way you can get through that is by having, emotional intelligence and keeping an open mind frame and learn. So that's where I'm at with it, man. I'm in building mode. You know what I'm saying? I'm building a community. Like I'm really building. I want it rich. I want to build a community where it's thousands of us that have an ecosystem of forms, and we all bartering and trading for each other. You know what I'm saying? You got apples, I got peaches, you got that, huh? We get some trucks on the road. You bring me watermelons, I bring you onions. We doing stuff like that. We buying land, we building houses, we got bunkers. We are preparing regardless of religion. We need to put aside religion and put aside spirituality and focus on, and I'm not saying put it aside like forget about it, but I'm saying for the sake of building a people and focus on common denominators. And that's the programming, that's the food, that's the this health system. These are the things that we need to be focused on. What you do behind closed doors, and what God and what name you call your God. If you loving me, you helping me, and when we saving people for this fire, then hey, in my eyes, we essentially are going towards the same destination. So I might call my God Yahweh, you might call your God Amin Ra, you might call your God Bereshita, you might call your God this. If we are coming together and we are building community and we are help healing the people, and we putting foods in babies' mouths, and we keeping black women, we are healing the wounds and we're reproducing. And obviously, what we doing is correct. Whether you coming from this cultural aspect or I'm coming from that cultural aspect, we are progressing and thriving in life through love and light. Obviously, we all doing something right.
Excellent. Yahki, tell the people how they could get in touch with you, my brother.
You can get in touch with me. My website, www.yahkiawaken.com, YAHKIAWAKENED.com. On Facebook, Yahki Rofe, Elohim. Make sure it's the blue check page. And then I got Dr. Yakai Health and Wellness Clinic. I think I got like 450,000 subscribers on there. And then, of course, on Instagram, always follow the blue check page. There are hundreds of thousands of companies pretending to be me, taking my videos, using AI, and doing both voiceovers. I will never sell a product or promote a product that doesn't come from YahkiAwaken.com. All of my products have my name and my face on them, and all of them have my actual distribution warehouse on them, and that's me. So if it don't go back to YahkiAwaken.com, it is not me, y'all. It is not me. I will never endorse another product. I have a 20,000 square foot warehouse where we do all of our distributing at and make all of our herbs at. So there's a lot of people taking my image, taking my likeness. I've been spending literally like 50 grand a month on a lawyer getting pages taken down. But as soon as we get 100 taken down, 100 more go up. So it's like a never ending battle between the sons of light and the sons of darkness, y'all. But look, we in the war, we ain't stopping. So that's how you get at me. www.yahkiawaken.com. Hey, y'all, I'm going to be in Chicago. I'm going to be in Chicago September the 6th and 7th, y'all. Make sure y'all go to yahkiawaken.com, click on the event tab, Book them tickets. I see y'all in Chicago. It's going to be a phenomenal time. It's going to be an amazing time. We're going to be talking about health, healing, diving deep into cancer and the Jabberwocky, as my brother say, and how to get these things out of your body. It's going to be some beautiful vegan food there. We're going to have juices. I'm bringing my brothers with me, man. We have an amazing time. So if you want to see me, I'm going to be in Chicago, September the 6th and 7th, y'all. So come check me out. www.yakiawaken.com.
Beautiful, my brother. Listen, I'm going to contact you soon, you and Nabi, about coming down to your facility and getting some footage. Like I said, I know you're going to Chicago in September, but I definitely somewhere around that time, I want to film what's going on down there, brother, because this sounds absolutely magnificent.
Mind blowing, bro. You got to see what I'm doing here in St. Louis, man. We changing the whole frequency of this city. And matter of fact, when you come, let's do a 2-part. We can get all of this in one segment, and then you can drop another one later when me and you go to my house and I cook and we go through all that food. So they can see I'm really a chef out here. I really did.
Yeah. Excellent, my brother. Yo, Yahki, thank you so much. You and the brother Nabi. And I will talk to you very soon, my brother. All right. But thank you so much for coming on tonight.
All right. Shalom, mishpati, my family. Peace.
Woo. Peace, my brother. All right. Family, that was a amazing classic episode. Like I said, I'm in New York, family, so the background is different. But I will see y'all probably tomorrow. I probably will get some outside footage tomorrow in New York City. But with that being said, wow, what a show with Yahki Awaken. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you, King Simon, for sharing the brothers' links throughout the show. But with that being said, this is Brother Rich on vacation in New York, and I will see y'all tomorrow. I'm going to get some footage from outside, all right, family? But wow, what a show. Make sure you support the brother Yahki. The links is in the chat. One of the baddest brothers in the game when it comes to the self stuff, all right? And I'm going to get that footage at his facility in September. So that's going to be amazing footage, all right? But I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to get some footage, all right, family? Peace and blessings. Enjoy the rest of your night. I know it's late, but thanks for staying up for Black with Brother Rich or Radiohead Rich, right, family?